What's going on, fellow A-plussers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, along with movie and television news, streaming for you guys here today. We got 6 incredible topics as we're going to get further into some X-Men casting for you guys here today. We also got a big shakeup when it comes to the God of War television series. We got some Avatar news, some Welcome to Derry news, and a ton more, guys. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Welcome, one and all, to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report. It is I, your host, Adam Perez, joined none other than by my co-host, as always, Stuart Branscombe in the house. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, not much. Another chill week. Trying to think of the office is coming together a little bit more. I've been adding some more decorations in here. I got my Berserk manga up, of course. Other than that, yeah, just kind of another chill week.
I'm seeing some Megazord back there. I'm seeing some Thanos and Iron Man gloves back there too a little bit.
I got both Infinity Gauntlets from Infinity War, and then of course the Iron Man variant from Endgame. I also have I don't know if you can kind of see it, but like beneath them, I have my Guitar Hero controller from back in the day. I got the Power Rangers Red Ranger. No, that's just the that they all have, yeah. And then the dagger right next to it. Some Power Ranger figurines also on the shelves next to it, and then the dresser on top of that. You can't really see it because it's at an angle, but it's basically like a shrine of like Dragon Ball Z, because I got all my Dragon Ball Z VHS, my manga, and then a bunch of figurines up there. Maybe I'll try to move it so it kind of like you can see it in the background, but yeah, it's just my obsession of Dragon Ball Z all in one area.
I love it, Stu. Great to hear, man. Yeah, it's coming together really well. I definitely need to clean up my office. It's like a bomb exploded in it. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't been utilizing my office as of late. But your boy has ordered a brand new desktop PC. Well, not brand new, but refurbished. But it's a gaming PC, so my specs are looking fantastic. So I have ordered it. It's supposed to be arriving today. So I am hoping that I will be spending most of this week trying to clean up my office a little bit, and hopefully by next Sunday, be streaming for you guys from my brand new PC. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll have a new background. Maybe I'll be back in my office. So I'm trying to, in my mind, I'm trying to come up with a new setup that would look really good on screen. So we'll see. I'm going to be moving some things around in my office. So we'll see if I can pull it off or not. But I'm envious that you are putting together an office. And so now I'm like, I gotta get on Stuart's level. You know what I
mean? Yeah. I look forward to seeing it. Definitely.
Yeah, but we'll see how it all comes together. But I am expecting Nat here this week. And we got a really stacked week for you guys. Tomorrow we will be doing Let's Talk Movies on our Monday movie matinee show. If anything, I believe Stuart's going to be checking out Super Troopers, and we may be doing a live viewer or a viewer recommendation for tomorrow's show. And then hopefully, I'm hoping in the middle of the week, sometime maybe on Thursday, I got to try and talk to Will and Crystal, our High Council members from the Force Report. But we may be doing a series review for The Ninth Jedi that's currently on Disney Plus, and then Friday, I believe, kicks off D23, the Disney Plus, the Disney Expo, I should say. I will be doing a live reaction to Friday evening's Disney Entertainment Showcase, where they're going to have Pixar, Marvel Studios, Lucasfilm, and others in Disney giving their live action sort of presentation, if you will. So we will be streaming live for you guys Friday. It's going to be a late stream, though, because I don't think it starts until 7 p.m. Pacific time. So if anything, we'll be going live at about 9 o'clock p.m. Central time for you guys on Friday. So a lot of big events coming up. And then next Sunday, is a week from today, believe it or not, is the premiere of Lanterns, Stuart. We are a week away from Lanterns. I probably am going to be trying to do live reactions for Lanterns on Tuesday. So certainly join me Tuesday evenings to talk about Lanterns. So yeah, a lot of stuff's going to be happening within the next week for sure that I'm very excited about, man.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to talking about Lanterns. I'll definitely keep you posted to let you know if I'm available for Star Wars Visions. I'll know my schedule for next week. Usually it's up on Tuesday, so I will definitely let you know as soon as possible.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I think Will is down. I've been trying to get a hold of Crystal to see what her schedule is like for next week, but I'll definitely keep you guys. I'll definitely keep you posted. But I'm trying to do it for Thursday right now. Have you had the opportunity to watch any of the Ninth Jedi yet?
No, not yet. Unless you count the original short from Star Wars Visions. I don't even think I've seen Star Wars Visions season 3 yet. Actually, I think that's another thing I got to get on.
Yeah, I don't know if I've watched season 3 yet, with the exception of maybe that Ninth Jedi, the second story that they wind up having. But I've been enjoying the limited series so far. I'm 3 episodes in, and I got to tell you, man. First off, the lightsaber battles incredible. The mixture of 2D and 3D animation really works in here. I'm actually becoming a really big fan of sort of like the lore building and just some of the backstory for some of these characters that they've kind of introduced us to. It's really unique, man. And I'm just like, I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for it.
Oh yeah. As much as I love, just having the one Star Wars canon, I'm glad that Disney isn't afraid to let other people get a little more creative outside the normal Star Wars canon to create their own like kind of unique stories, kind of like with a little bit of Star Wars in it, but mostly it's kind of like its own thing.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, I think this is based off of like 1,000 years into the future, something like that. So much has changed, so much like lore of what came before. Is like almost non-existent sort of thing, and so you really are just kind of starting fresh in this world. Now, I don't believe it's canonical. I don't think Lucasfilm has come out and said that this is canonical. I'm kind of hoping that they do, if I'm honest with you, just because it's like the sandbox is so big and you're so far away from other time periods that you're really not stepping on anybody's toes. So to make it canon, I think would be pretty freaking incredible. But we'll see what they do with it. But I will say 3 episodes into the Ninth Jedi, I'm sold, man. I can't wait to see how this story wraps up.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny. Like it almost is like the Knights of the Old Republic approach, which is when BioWare developed the game, they wanted it set so far in the past that they didn't have to worry about like messing with canon or anything like that. So it's kind of a similar approach, except for instead of the past, they just put it 1,000 years into the future.
I will say, and this might be a little bit spoilerish, but I mean, I think if you saw the trailers, you probably get an idea that this weapon sort of exists. But one of the things that I will say, Star Wars can't seem to get away from planet destroying weaponry.
Of course.
they love their planet destroying weaponry, and so while I haven't heard how people have felt about this, but there is a planet destroying weapon in this series. But I think because of just how far away it is, like timeline was. I mean, we're talking about like 1,000 years. Like who literally remembers anything from like 1,000 years ago, sort of thing, unless you're really taking great great notes, great historic notes. But to kind of see how their mindset is going into utilizing this, and I gotta say, Stuart, I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's a scene in here where they unleash the power of this weapon for the first time. I've never seen anything like it. Like I've never, like visually, I've never seen anything like it, because it's not just the idea of like, let's just blow up a planet. It's something else entirely how they utilize it. I think it's by mistake. I think the first shot is by mistake. I think they meant to destroy the planet, but the first shot alone and just what the shot does is like unlike anything that I've seen in Star Wars. Like it really blew me away, and it made me want to jump into the next episode incredibly quickly. Like it's really cool. But if you guys have the opportunity to check out the Ninth Jedi, please go ahead and do yourselves a favor. I think you guys will be impressed. But you know what? Let's give some shout out to people that are joining us in the live chat here today. Remember, guys, as we go through these topics, these are simply our A plus opinions, but we always want to know yours. So let your thoughts be known in some of the live chat, and we'll definitely bring you guys up on the screen and talk with you guys about what you guys are thinking about today. Ricky
Hang on,
Perez,
I'm going to be right back. I'm gonna make one quick change in the background.
yeah, I got you. Ricky Perez says, hey, just saw the official 30-second trailer for the upcoming Clash of the Thundermans movie featuring Ariel Winter, and will be premiering on Nickelodeon Paramount Plus in September. Very cool. Also, D23, the Ultimate Fan Event, is just days away on August 14th. First looks at new movies, including Avengers Doomsday, Secret Wars, Incredibles 3, and more. You know, I don't know. If anything, I have a feeling that this is going to be more Disney Plus stuff. But it would not surprise me if the first beginnings of the Marvel Studios presentation, from all accounts, what I'm hearing is we may get ourselves the full X-Men cast revealed at D23. I don't know if they're going to reveal more about Avengers Doomsday. It would be pretty cool if they dropped like a second official trailer or something like that. That would be pretty cool. But I don't think we're going to get any Secret Wars stuff here. I think if anything, the X-Men casting announcements, maybe Avengers Doomsday, and then I think the rest is really going to be sort of the television animation slate that they have in store. So we'll see. We'll see if we can pull up some D23 rumors on what you guys expect or are hoping to see. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, though. Tonight at 7 p.m., Nickelodeon is kicking off a Harry Potter film series weekend, taking over the premiere of Harry Potter and this Sorcerer's Stone. Very nice. It's been a minute since I've done a Harry Potter marathon. Finally saw the final trailer for the new Star Wars Visions: The Ninth Jedi. There's a final trailer? I didn't know a final trailer had dropped this week. If so, I'll have to check it out. Kiki and Luca in the house. A fine Sunday to you guys. Good to see you, Kiki and Luca. We got Pegsy in the house also. He says, I just saw Johnny Young Bosch's movie called Spades. It was released yesterday morning on the Indie Rights Movie for free on the YouTube channel. Very cool. Maybe we have to check out Spades. Can you add Spades to our viewer recommendation list too?
Adding it down.
He says it's a gritty vigilante thriller starring Jason Narvi, who played Skull.
Oh, I love Jason Narvi.
Yeah, Johnny plays the protagonist, former army buddy who is secretly the title masked vigilante. Very cool. We got Blossom in the house. What's up, Blossom? Appreciate you certainly coming through. Fed, what's up, Fed? The fellow who was fan casted to be Xavier looks a lot like Kit Harington. Can't recall his name now. He has that perfect head shape to be Xavier. Good Sunday to A Plus here, report, crew, and chat. Appreciate you coming through, Fed. Yeah, we got a lot of rumors certainly circulating when it comes to X-Men casting, and we'll definitely get into some of it today. But before we do, let's go ahead and kick things off with our first segment of the day. And we're going to get to our honorable mentions portion of the show. Honorable mentions really is, if you're new to the show, really our section of the show where we talk about topics that didn't necessarily quite make our top six, but felt that you guys certainly still deserved to know about them. I don't know. Do you have any honorable mentions here today, Stuart, at all?
Unfortunately, not really on my end. I guess any gamers out there who have Steam, Bethesda has a big sale going on, so check that out. I guess that could be my honorable mention.
Nice. Okay. We do have some Michael news for you Michael Jackson fans. First off, Michael has surpassed $1 billion at the box office. They did talk with the Lionsgate Motion Picture chairman, Adam Fogelson, who gave a little bit of an update, saying that for the upcoming sequel, saying that they are targeting a production start towards the end of this year or early next. As far as when we'll see the actual sequel drop, he says, I think that the end calendar of 2027 and the first half of calendar 2028 would be the current thought of roughly where the movie would go, but we're not ready to announce everything at the moment. So they're looking to try and start filming any additional sequences towards the end of this year or the beginning of next, with the turnaround of it dropping in 2027 or early 2028. He also says we do have a number of sequences, particularly some big musical sequences that were shot previously that are almost sure to be incorporated into the film, but we are mostly focused right now on how to make sure we can deliver at the right price the biggest and best sequel. That is what the audience is going to want and deserve after the experience we gave them the first time. So we're not ready to give guidance on the budget yet, but we certainly will be able to take advantage of some of the stuff we previously shot, as I said before. So you guys recall they did go ahead and shoot a ton of footage for the first one. Some of the stuff that they couldn't use due to legal issues, but they definitely have plenty of film that they're going to be utilizing for the upcoming sequel as well. What else do we got here? Oh, also, everybody's real American hero, Joe Dirt. A sequel is currently in the works, according to Deadline. Is in the works at Fox as an animated series, believe it or not. David Spade is set to go ahead and reprise his role. To mark the 25th anniversary, Joe Dirt is eyeing a return with the follow-up animated series. The sequel, titled Joe Dirt, is in development at Fox, with Spade set to voice the main character. It says it's now been 25 years later, and Joe Dirt keeps on keeping on. He's still in love with Brandy. His skull still hasn't unfused with the mullet. And most of all, he's still got his eternal optimism, and he needs it. Just because he's married with 3 teenage daughters doesn't mean his problems are over. The messes are bigger, and Joe's mop and bucket just won't cut it. So yeah, we have a animated series in development for Joe Dirt. Stuart,
I've actually never seen Joe Dirt. This might be my excuse to finally check it out. But I do really like David Spade, but I like him more as a voice actor than an actual actor, because Emperor's New Groove and Beavis and Butthead, he is just freaking hilarious in those shows, or in that movie and in the show Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen Joe Dirt either, but I felt it was a need to talk about it animation wise. So yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in that regards. Also, move over, Freddie and Jason. We got a new reboot incoming from none other than the Leprechaun. That's right,
another reboot.
That's right. Deadline says a new Leprechaun horror movie is in the works at Lionsgate. It says a couple of producers are attached for the new entry. The film's plot is being kept under wraps. Let me see. It says this is also their second swing at revitalizing Leprechaun franchise in just a few years. Trying to see what else it says. Speaking of his entry into the world of Leprechaun, Oren Cowles told Deadline, after producing all the Saw films and 23 wonderful years at Lionsgate, I'm thrilled to be working again with the Lionsgate team on a terrifying new way into the rich world of Leprechaun. So there's really not that many. It doesn't look like there's a lot of details in regards to it. So this seems very much in early development. I'm not really showing. It does say the film is penned by horror veterans Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan. I'm not exactly familiar with what they've worked on in the past, but at least they have themselves writers attached to the project right now. So still in early development, no director attached, but definitely producers and writers attached. So that's Leprechaun is on its way to making a comeback.
Well, I'm definitely checking this one out.
It's funny. I was looking up. I've seen the first maybe 2 Leprechaun movies when I was younger. It's been years since I've actually revisited the franchise. But when I was looking up a wallpaper to try and find for today's show, I'm like, is that Jennifer Aniston? I totally didn't even realize that Jennifer Aniston was in the Leprechaun movie, to be honest with you. So now I'm even more intrigued to go back and rewatch it. It's been years.
I think with the exception of Warwick Davis, I think Jennifer Aniston is like the only big actor that's ever been in the Leprechaun franchise, with the exception, of course, the Leprechaun himself, the legendary Warwick Davis. But like, yeah, the because I've seen the first one, and then I don't think I ever saw 2 and 3, but I did watch Leprechaun in Space, and I swear to God, I am not making this up. It is so cheap looking. I would not be shocked if they just filmed in front of a laser tag like area. Like it like the sets look like they're straight out of like I've seen laser tags that arenas that look more realistic than the set of Leprechaun in Space. It is hilarious. I recommend anyone who enjoys bad movies, highly recommend.
Okay.
Cannabis definitely helps though with enhancing that experience.
Mentally noted if I check it out. That's funny. I didn't know that at all.
And then I have not seen either of the because there were two, I think, where he did.
I didn't even know there was
Leprechaun in the Hood, and then
yes,
Leprechaun in the Hood 2, or Return to the Hood. I haven't seen either of those. And then I did see the reboot though, which was really bad because it was like Leprechaun. They tried to take it seriously, and it just. I hope this remake or reboot or whatever. I hope they don't make the same mistake. I hope they still have a sense of humor. You know.
I honestly had no idea there was one of him in space. That's pretty crazy. But
yeah,
that's pretty gnarly. What else do we got? We have some Jurassic World Rebirth news. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the director from Jurassic World Rebirth, Gareth Edwards, has stepped away from the project. He's leaving the project, according to them, over quote unquote creative differences. The director was expected to return for the follow-up of Jurassic World Rebirth, but has now left the project over creative differences, is what the sources at the Hollywood Reporter say. It says Universal began moving on a sequel swiftly and has a script by the returning writer David Cope. Johansson, Ali, and Bailey are expected to return, although the schedules are still being worked out. Plot details are being kept secret, but it's unclear as to what the creative differences are. But studio insiders note that the Jurassic franchise is one that has ebbed and flowed with filmmakers. David Leitch was at one point set to direct Rebirth, for example, but left over creative direction. The one constant in the franchise is the involvement of Jurassic Park director Steven Spielberg. So yeah, Gareth Edwards is out, and they have not announced a new director as of yet, but wouldn't surprise me if like next week we got like new director attached to Jurassic World Rebirth. I don't mind. I do like Gareth Edwards, don't get me wrong, but I was really underwhelmed by Rebirth. The fact that the same writer is coming back, to be fair, I don't know if somebody had commented on our Facebook page or maybe on Twitter when I posted this thing that they had read the original script and the script was great, and they felt that the director kind of butchered it in regards to how filming it and Gareth using his his own vision or whatever the case might have been. So I don't know who's really at fault for Jurassic World Rebirth, but the fact that the writer is returning and they're looking for a new director, we'll see if that improves the sequel or not. But yeah, Rebirth was really underwhelming for me.
Yeah, I'd say I think I could say that about all the Jurassic World movies, honestly.
Yeah, because I was a big fan of the first Jurassic World movie, but I know you said you didn't care for it so much, the Chris Pratt one.
Yeah, I just thought it was okay, unfortunately. And keep in mind, because I love the original Jurassic Park movie, I don't go into these Jurassic World movies wanting to dislike them. I keep hoping this will be the one that'll make me feel that same magic the first Jurassic Park did, but it still hasn't happened yet. Maybe one of these days.
No, I feel you there. And then last but not least for today, we got a Paramount and WB update for you guys. Apparently, according to Deadline, a judge has set Paramount and Warner Brother merger antitrust trial for March. So let me give you some of the details in regards to what's happening here. It says a federal judge has set the Paramount Warner Brothers merger trial for next March. The date is much closer to the timeline sought by state attorneys general and the Writers Guild of America, who sued to block the transaction. rather than a trial starting this fall, which was favored by Paramount. So the Writers Guild, a couple of other state attorneys have all filed an antitrust lawsuit against this merger. And so it's gone in front of a federal judge, and the judge has officially set their trial for March. The U.S. District Attorney based in Oakland wrote that the trial will take place from March 2nd to March 19th of next year. Paramount has sought a November trial start, and the state attorneys and the WGA proposed April. The judge wrote that the trial will run. Never mind. A Paramount spokesperson said in the statement, "We respect the court's decision and continue to believe a trial on the merits is the best and most direct way for us to prove what we said from the start, that this transaction is lawful, pro-competitive, and raises no antitrust concerns. The lawsuit gave us against us has no basis in fact, economics, or antitrust law. We will continue to vigorously defend the transaction and remain committed to closing as soon as possible so its benefits for the creative community and consumers can be realized." I mean, talk about spin. And it's kind of crazy. The date of trial is hugely important for Paramount, which will be on the hook. Mind you, here's a great detail. Paramount will be on the hook to pay Warner Brothers Discovery $7 million for every day that the transaction doesn't close after September 30th.
Damn.
That was Paramount's deal sweetener as it competed with Netflix for the legacy studio and the other assets. The merger itself has an expiration date of June 4th of next year. Mind you, the trial's in March. The expiration of the merger is June 4th of next year, and Paramount agreed to a $7 billion termination fee if the transaction did not close due to regulatory issues. The judge has not given any timeline as to when she would make a decision for the trial. So again, beginning September 30th, Paramount will be paying Warner Brothers $7 million a day. And mind you, the trial doesn't start till March, okay? So they're going to be paying them $7 million at least until March.
That's awesome.
To see if this merger even goes through. And if it doesn't go through by June, then they still got to pay an additional $7 billion, not million, but $1 billion, if the merger does not go through by June 4th. And this is all in their deal, their contracts, because as the article states, was a sweetener to try and convince them, hey, pick us over Netflix. And we promise this is going to go smoothly. We promise it's going to go smoothly. And it's been everything except smooth.
I guarantee you David Ellis made that deal with them because he was probably so sure that Donald Trump would actually like make this deal go like ASAP. So I don't think he expected it to take this long. But man, like if we're waiting this long for the deal to come in and they have to pay $7 million a day, like as they're waiting for the court date, honestly, they may not even have to merge because by the time we get to that court date, they may have just covered all of WB's debts at that point. And honestly, I will say this, man, you know how much I fucking hate David Zaslav so much. But if this was his plan all along, if he somehow predicted that things would go this shit, would be this shit, and that the overall deal wasn't going to go through and they would still get paid on top of it, if this was all just one scheme to get them to cover all of WB's debts, I will give it to David Zaslav. That was actually a clever plan. Like, that was scummy, but clever. All right. Yeah, but obviously, I think I'm giving him too much credit. I don't think he intended this to happen, but maybe.
I don't know, Stu. I don't know. I think it's a possibility. I really do. If anything, I would just say, one, like if I'm Paramount, I'm like, I would just be throwing up my hands and just being like, fuck it. Like, it's just like they're already massively in debt. And then now you're going to have to be paying millions to billions of dollars all the way out until March. And then you got to worry about June, which is like right around the corner, as to whether or not you're going to even win your trial. And then if you win your trials, then you got to make this merger kind of happen before June. If I'm them, I'm just like, I don't know if it's in favor for them to even win these trials, if I'm being honest. But if I'm Paramount, I would just be like trying to get out of this contract as soon as I possibly could, if I'm being dead ass. But I think there's almost such a commitment that they have, though, to wanting to control the amount of media that they will, that I think that they're really going to ride this out for as long as they possibly can, because I'm sure whoever wins or loses in March is probably going to put in an appeal of some sort to try and like get a second jab at winning this case. And if we're going to go from March and then have to do another appeal, that's going to take even longer for them to be heard in court again. And so this just feels, if anything, I would say, I think the downside to all this really is like this makes any future productions that Warner Brother wants to put into motion really murky and slow a lot of things down, because now you really have to like wait to kind of find out what's happening. So like when you don't hear announcements from James Gunn in regards to what the future of the DC is after Man of Tomorrow, it's probably because of this merger, if I'm being honest with you. Like even the same thing with like the animated front, you know, the My Adventures of Green Lanterns, or with My Adventures with Superman. You know, what other future seasons are we going to get? Like when we don't get those announcements, a lot of that is because of the murkiness of, is this merger going to happen? Is this merger not going to happen? You know, is Paramount going to greenlight this? Can they not greenlight it because of the merger not happening yet? So it's like a lot of stuff is going to be held up right now while we wait for this antitrust trial in March. And I don't know if David Zaslav can cancel it before that June date, or if they got to wait for Paramount to be the one to cancel the contract. But this is some crazy murky shit, man.
It is. And I think like the unfortunate part is like a part of me wants to be happy because it's like, oh yeah, this is really screwing both sides over, which, you know, it's great because it's like David Zaslav and David Ellis, fuck both of them. The thing that sucks about it is that neither of them can suffer without taking all their employees down with them, essentially. Everyone that works under them suffers as well. So that's the thing that sucks about it. The only way for them to face consequences is for everyone else that works for them to face the same consequences that they had nothing to do with. So I think that's the thing that really kind of sucks about the whole situation too.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Peg C says John Campea broke it down about this situation. Yeah, I think I did watch his video a little bit. It's a pretty good breakdown. I can see Netflix just waiting in the wings to grab Warner Brothers for a cheaper price. That'd be kind of crazy if it comes around full circle. But I still don't think Warner Brothers needs to sell. Like I rather just them not sell. They're gonna be making so much money already in regards to what this Paramount and WB merger. Like I just don't need them to sell.
So there is actually a way, I think, that both Warner Brothers and I think Disney is going to learn this very soon. There's a way they could actually make some easy money. And this is going to sound crazy, but hear me out. So do you know which streaming service is actually the most financially successful?
Warner Brothers?
Nope. It is, believe it or not, Tubi, which costs zero money. This is why, because they make their money on ad revenue, and because they're free. There's a lot of people using Tubi. It's one of the most streamed, streaming apps, basically. So they make their money on ad revenue, and they don't have to charge users, which gives them a lot of people using it. So I think that what Disney Plus and HBO Max and Paramount should do, they should give us a free option with ads and then have the premium version be like, the $15 a month, but it comes with 0 ads, because then you get more eyes on your apps, you get more eyes on your streaming service, and you also make a profit from, ad revenue. So, I don't know. It seems like an easy way to actually make money, but they're just not doing it at the moment, even though Tubi has proven, hey, this actually works. We don't have to charge money and we're still making a shit ton of money. I think the only downside is that, Tubi doesn't make like they make original films, but they don't make expensive original films. So I think that's like the one like major difference is they don't have to spend as much money to make to keep their streaming service up. Whereas like Netflix, Disney and HBO, they end up spending millions and millions of dollars on like their own like kind of streaming movies and TV shows. So maybe they'd have to cut back on that. But if they did that, I think that would be a good way to like just get a steady stream of profit flowing for all the major companies out there.
Yeah, it definitely it really would. It really would. Yeah, I would probably go the free route for sure. I don't mind it. I don't mind ads so much, but it just depends. Like, because sometimes like I've downloaded Crunchyroll for free, and I'm like I can do with the ads, but like the ads hit me like every 2 to 5 minutes, dude. Like it's like I can't do it. I can't. I remember telling somebody like Crunchyroll really gonna make me have to pay for this subscription because I just can't even do the free. Like there's just so many ads constantly just interrupting me in the middle of my show, sort of thing. It's not even well paced at all. It's like in the middle of a sentence, it just cuts off, and then it's like an ad hits you. So it can be kind of annoying, but
just imagine like Empire Strikes Back. No, Luke, I am your. Come to Applebee's today because we have our new.
That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like on Crunchyroll's free subscription. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but we'll keep you guys posted on any further developments with this Paramount and Warner Brothers merger. But with that out of the way, guys, let's get into our main topics today. So, are you ready to tackle these with me, man?
Always.
I feel like I'm on repeat here because this is the second week in a row that we've talked about X-Men casting. Last week we talked about Samara Weaving being cast as our Emma Frost, with some potential rumors in regards to who else could be playing other characters. And this week we are back because of the fact that we officially have our Cyclops. That's right, our Scott Summers has in fact been cast. So we're going to be talking some X-Men casting updates. We also got some God of War news, a bit of a shakeup when it comes to the lead role as Kratos. We got some Legend of Zelda casting news and a ton more, guys. But let's go ahead and get into this because we've got Marvel Studios get ready to unleash the X-Men upon us. The Mutant Saga is ready to kick off right after the right after Avengers Secret Wars. We're going to be getting into our Mutant Saga. I believe we've got 3 movies slated for 2028, if I'm not mistaken. The first one being X-Men right out of the gate after Secret Wars to introduce us to our brand new mutants. And the casting has officially begun. It's been underway, I believe, since May. If not a little bit earlier than that. They've had some finalists. They've been making calls around for people to come in to do some auditioning, some screen tests, and whatever the case may be. But this week, fresh off of Samara Weaving being cast as Emma Frost, this week we officially have our Cyclops, and he is going to be played none other than by Kit Connor. That's right, Kit Connor has landed the role of Cyclops. According to Deadline, he's being eyed for the Cyclops role in the upcoming X-Men movie. We got a couple. He was just recently in the Warfare movie, I believe. I barely remember him in this film, if I'm being honest. I know he was recently in another Netflix series, I think called Heartstopper. But let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about Kit Connor. If you guys are familiar with his work, please let us know in the comment section box below or the live chat if you've seen his work or not. But let's go ahead and talk about this. This, again, comes to us from Deadline. It says, exclusive after news that Samara Weaving was in line for the Emma Frost role. It now looks like Marvel Studios has found its Scott Summers. Sources tell Deadline that Kit Connor is the choice for the mutant Cyclops. Similar to the Weaving situation where director Jack Schreier and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige met with a number of candidates, sources say the studio ultimately landed on Connor last week to become the latest actor to don the Cyclops visor. While James Bond has been the everyone everyone's attention this summer, the most active casting process has been who will play the new team of mutants, following me a small group of actors tested after the July 4th holiday. Now, Scott Summers has been one of the cornerstones of the X-Men comics, first appearing in 1963. The character has always been seen as the captain of the team of mutants, best known for the powerful beam of energy amidst eyes that he controls through a visor and various sunglasses. Trying to see if there's any other. Connor's star has been on the rise since his scene-stealing role in the Netflix series Heartstopper, recently reprising his role in a movie spinoff, Heartstopper Forever. Following that, he caught the eye of director Alex Garland, who cast him in Warfare, as well as he's going to be in the upcoming video game adaptation Elden Ring as well. So he's been getting some big opportunities here. But
Wait,
yeah,
did you
Kit
say
Connor.
Elden Ring?
Elden Ring, yeah, he's been attached to the Elden Ring project.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Okay.
Yeah, so he's been cast as Kit Connor's been cast as Cyclops. We got some really cool fan art images here of Kit Connor as Cyclops. I don't know, maybe this might be actually AI, and I'm thinking about this image here. We did have Boss Logic and a couple of other people. This isn't the Boss Logic one. I can't remember who this was on Twitter, but they created this cool fan art design of Kit Connor as Cyclops. And I believe we even have this one. This one is the Boss Logic one that he wind up putting together as well. So yes, Stu, we have ourselves our Cyclops here. So we officially have a Jean Grey, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. We got an Emma Frost, and my man in the middle, Scott Summers, the leader of our X-Men. How are you feeling about this casting choice, or just the idea of us just getting X-Men casting news? How's it coming together for you so far?
Oh, I'm just excited. I'm excited that we're just getting it, first of all. Yeah, I don't know much about this guy's work, but he was in, but I do want to kind of check out his show on Netflix, though, because I'm curious. He was in that show. He acted alongside, what's his name? Joe Locke, who was also in Agatha all along. So that's kind of
cool. Yeah,
MCU actors there. But yeah, I'm curious to check out his work. The only thing I've seen him in, though, was His Dark Materials, and even then, he was a voice actor in that. He didn't actually play any of the live action cast. But yeah, that's I think, like, look wise, I can definitely see him. I can definitely see the vision of him as Scott Summers. I definitely can't wait to see what he's going to look like. Inside the costume and all that. I think this was this is an interesting choice. I'm glad it wasn't someone obvious, like super recognizable right off the bat. One thing I'm kind of hoping with this new X-Men cast is I don't want it to be too familiar, with who they hire to play the X-Men. I'm hoping that it's a relatively somewhat unknowns for the most part.
Yeah, I do like the idea of it being relative unknowns. I'm sure Marvel probably is too, just because from a budgetary standpoint, they probably they probably don't want to explode their X-Men budget immediately. So a lot of these actors are probably going to be young and up and coming. They haven't really gotten a huge payday as of yet. Maybe Sadie, I'd be kind of curious as to what Sadie Sink's payday is based off of her stuff from Stranger Things and her popularity in general. But yeah, Kit Connor is only 22 years old. Kit Connor's 22. Yeah, Sadie Sink is 24. So they're definitely going younger range here for their casting. But I'm kind of like you. I'm not too familiar with his work. I remember him in Warfare when they mentioned it, but I don't think he has a massive role in that film that really kind of makes him stand out. Maybe I'll check it out again. It's been a minute since I watched Warfare in theaters, but I do want to check him out in Heartstoppers. Everybody keeps mentioning his role in Heartstoppers, so maybe I'll go ahead and check that out. But I'm with you. I mean, I like the idea that he's not super recognizable. He probably has a small fan base of people that do know his work, though. But like visually, when I see him, I'm like, yeah, I could kind of see Scott Summers in there. I could definitely see Cyclops for sure. So I'm really excited to kind of see that you're getting an opportunity to to bring this character to life once again. If anything, I'm just hoping because of the fact that he's been like the first three official casting announcements for X-Men. I am really hoping that they are taking Scott Summers seriously and allowing him to have decent character growth in this compared to how they've utilized him kind of in the past. Now, like, I didn't mind James Marsden. I think James Marsden is a really good actor, and I think they really underutilized him a lot. Who was the other X-Men from? Who was the other Cyclops? Was it Tyler Sheridan? Is that who it is? Taylor Sheridan? I can't remember his name. The gentleman that was Cyclops again, and like once we got to like our first
Ready
class.
Player One, right?
Yeah. He was a Cyclops. He was okay. They didn't really get the opportunity for him to shine as much as I certainly wanted to. So I'm really hoping that Kit Connor here has a pretty sizable role, and that they really kind of put Cyclops at the forefront of this movie along with Jean Grey, at least for the first outing, if you will. The way that things are kind of coming together, it definitely kind of, I guess we'll see on how the casting goes, but I definitely have this feeling that they're going to be going more classic X-Men for the very first film in regards to it, like Jean, Scott, Beast, Iceman, maybe Angel as maybe like their core team, if you will. So we'll see what the other casting at D23 is going to be coming together and kind of looking like. I mean, because the establishment of like the Hellfire Club with Emma Frost in here, just to me just has the feelings of a very young team kind of coming together for the first time. But again, I'm not too familiar with Kit Connor stuff, but I'm glad that we finally have our Cyclops. I think he's going to fit the role really well. So we'll see how it comes together. But I definitely expect hopefully more announcements at D23. Yeah, Kiki and Lucas says these castings will probably be announced at D23, right? I think so. I think maybe to kick off D23, that might be the case. Marcelo says, does this mean we can get a relationship between Cyclops and Emma Frost? It's never been done on screen, and it would be a missed opportunity if it didn't happen. I think this could be like a tease. I don't want to say a tease love triangle, but I do think the idea of, because I'm very much under the impression that this is going to be more classic X-Men. I don't necessarily know if we're going to be immediately jumping into like the 90s X-Men kind of team. I think that might come, as a sequel or as the mutant saga kind of continues. But to kind of kick things off with like an interesting relationship between Scott and Jean, and then on the other side you got this temptress in Emma Frost, maybe teasing Scott a little bit. I think they could really play it up and have some fun with it, I think.
Yeah, I think honestly, I'd be more than okay with them not like going into any relationships for the first movie at the very least. Maybe just kind of like saving that for later on. I mean, not saying I don't want any relationship or romance in the X-Men movie. I'm just saying if they didn't, that wouldn't surprise me too much.
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't surprise me either. Yeah, I mean, when I think of X-Men, I definitely do think of like soap opera, kind of drama at times, some dilemmas here at times for just their own personal characters and stuff. So, I would be interested to kind of see that relationship especially between Scott and Jean. And speaking of Jean, look, we are more than a week separated from Spider-Man Brand New Day. So I don't necessarily think it's necessarily a spoiler so much to finally talk about who Sadie Sink is playing, as Sadie Sink is officially playing Jean Grey in our MCU. This was in fact revealed in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and she's going to be working opposite of Kit Connor in here. And now that it is sort of out of the bag that she is in fact playing Jean Grey, she has there's literally like 3 articles that dropped this week that interviewed her, talking about her role as Jean Grey going forward, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that as well. And this is also another cool fan art design of Sadie Sink as Jean Grey. Fantastic casting, if you ask me. Like I first of all, I already love Sadie Sink, but I think she's gonna absolutely kill it as Jean Grey. I'm really excited to see what she's gonna do with this character.
It's funny because of her being in Stranger Things. A lot of people are making the comparison with her in 11. I do wonder if she actually, Millie Bobby Brown, if she actually asked her, "Hey, Millie, do you have any advice on how to play a telepath?"
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, from everything that I'm hearing, she actually did not tell her cast members on Stranger Things that
Oh,
she landed the role of Jean Grey. I think she said the only people that she told outside of her family was the Duffer brothers from Stranger Things. I think the writers knew, but the cast members didn't know. Um, I mean, maybe now she'll go to Millie Bobby Brown and ask for some advice, but apparently, according to her, she didn't really tell anybody.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. If I was an actor, I would be the type of actor Marvel would absolutely hate. Because if I got casted in a Marvel production as anything, even if it was just like a simple extra, you couldn't get me to keep my mouth shut about that.
Yeah, you would be the Tom Holland of spoilers for sure.
Oh yeah, I would definitely be like Tom Holland. They would have to like set me up with other actors during interviews to shut me up before I say anything.
I love it. Let's go to this Entertainment Weekly article. Sadie Sink opens up about the Marvel role and preparing for X-Men. It's so exciting to think about what's next. I'm going to scroll down a little bit to where they really start talking a little bit about the Jean Grey. It says, so now that you can actually talk about the specifics of the character, what was the journey like for you with Marvel? I remember you said that you noticed Jean Grey rumors starting online even before you knew you were going to be involved in Spider-Man. And she says, yeah, and that was all I really knew about her. I heard her name before just because there's been rumors. And then I met with Kevin Feige. They explained the role and what my involvement with bingo card. But once it was there, I was like, I think this is something that I would want to do. And of course, she says, I knew Destin too, because I worked with him when I was 14 or something on the Glass Castle. So that was nice to know that he'd be and what excited me about this iteration that they had planned was that we were meeting her not at a point where she's a hero, but at a point where she's just a hurt young girl who doesn't know what her relationship to her powers is. It's only ever caused her harm in her life. Jean Grey is a hero. She's a good person, if it takes more to become that, and there's a struggle of it first, I think that just is so compelling, is what she says. Do you have any reference points for Jean Grey? Like I grew up in the 90s with the X-Men cartoon, and then Famke Janssen came along, and she says, I look at everything just to see what the through line was and also the physicality of it. It looks different in each version too, how she uses her powers. I was like, I got to figure something out and stick with it. But this version that they were writing just felt so different from what we'd seen. I was more focused on the version of that was on the page for that moment in her life and in this universe and what I could bring to that. It's a different actor, so it's inherently just going to be a different take, but it's especially for this, it was a different side of her. But yeah, the powers were something where I was like, okay, wait, how do I do that? So I guess talking about trying to showcase her abilities on the big screen. And the interviewer says, I was concerned that you might do something like put your fingers to your temple. Was that ever a conversation? She says, I remember it not really being much of a conversation at all. There was pressure that I felt of it. Whatever I land on, I have to stick with it. But it can evolve too because her powers evolve and it'll just change as it goes. But what I landed on was not looking like much effort at all. It's more in the eyes because her power is, at least in this movie, invisible. So when she's using them, it should also be invisible. And I got to say something, Stuart. It's the power of the eyes for sure. I think her and Tom Holland have a great performance in regards to just being able to say so much within their eyes alone, that it really carries weight in regards to just seeing the emotional turmoil and some of the grief that she's kind of experiencing in here also. So I'm kind of glad in the way that she chose to act or perform how she utilizes her powers in here.
Yeah, I think that it's also possible it could change over time because she hasn't met Xavier yet. So I feel like if anything, Xavier would be the one to kind of like show her, hey, if you put your hand up here, somehow that makes your powers enhance or something. If that is something they decide to do later on, but as of now, just looking at how they did it in the movie, I think. Yeah, I think it was perfect because yeah, she sold it, and like even kind of hearing her say that part out loud, like what it was that she focused on in order to make it look like she's utilizing her powers. I think yeah, she sold it with the eyes for sure. Like even if you're watching some of these scenes out of context, you don't know that she's like a psychic telepath. You can still just kind of see she's doing something. She's focused on something very intense with her eyes. So I think she sells that.
Yeah, I think she sells it too. It also says this is a really brand new origin story for this character. It really deviates from a lot of traditional storytellings that we get from her. In terms of the character work and the character building, what sort of things did you grasp onto as your anchors for this Jean Grey? She says, I think the biggest thing that me and Destin talked about was how hurt she is and how she's not a villain. And to not really play into the pressure of being the villain in a Spider-Man movie, but rather just playing into being a hurt teenager, all coming from a place of hurt and loneliness and desperation. I think that's why people love the X-Men series so much, because all of these heroes maybe didn't start out as heroes, or their powers have caused a lot of struggle in their lives or been really inconvenient in a lot of ways. They're not things that they asked for. So to show her not doing immediate good with it, but rather she's just learning that she has this ability and her sister has it. It's not used in a malicious way at all. It's just discovering this part of themselves that they were born with, but it also taken everything away from them. So of course, that's not necessarily going to make her a hero. I really love, I really do love how she breaks this down a little bit, honestly, because when I do think of mutants just kind of coming of age, it tends to be in the form of some sort of a tragic event, their powers becoming unleashed, not really knowing how to control it. And in turn, if not hurting your family or the people around you, hurting people in the public kind of unexpectedly. And then, having humanity kind of turn against you and be very fearful of it. And so, while some people certainly will call her a villain in here. Is she the antagonist? Is she not? Sort of thing is definitely up for debate. But I really do love the way that they, even if despite it being an original origin story, I kind of appreciate this idea of how they went, because it feels more true to, I think, how mutants coming of age use and see their powers and how humanity kind of responds to it. So while definitely a different iteration of Jean Grey's origin, kind of utilizing her as that catalyst, if you will, for all other mutants in regards to how how they come about their powers. I just thought it was really compelling stuff, even if it wasn't necessarily the original story. But what did you think, Stuart, in regards to how they utilized Jean Grey in this movie?
Yeah, no, I thought it was perfect for an origin. I think that, yeah, it's like she is definitely the antagonist, and she definitely could have gone down the route of villain. She definitely does some things in this movie that I'm like, ooh, okay, that's really pushing it. But, I think what it comes down to is why she's doing it, and what she chooses to do, like when she finally kind of like has that opportunity to, stop herself. I think that's what makes it a great, I think that's what makes her a great antagonist, but not villain, is because at the end of the day, she does choose to, walk away, to let go of the hatred. And I think that, takes incredible strength to do. And I think, again, just the way she performed it was incredibly convincing, I think. But yeah, I would definitely agree with that
Yeah,
sentiment.
I definitely agree.
Antagonist, not villain.
We got and the last couple of lines here, but this is really looking towards the future for the X-Men. The end of this movie really sets up the X-Men as they will exist in the MCU. I'm curious if you've met with Jake Schaefer, the X-Men director, at all, or if you've had any early conversations about that movie yet. She says, yes, I've met with him. I met him for the first time. He came to see John Proctor. It was a weird thing of being at the early stages of putting X-Men together, but he knew I was the only piece of the puzzle at that point because I was the only mutant that had been established. So yeah, a lot of talking to him about casting and where the script was going and all that. It's interesting to be at the very beginning of it. Now that it's out and the X-Men is being talked about and it's happening, it's so exciting to think about what's next for her. It says it just came out that Kit Connor is being eyed for Cyclops. What's your reaction to that news? She says there's so many rumors online, but overall, it's been exciting to see, even if you don't know what's true or not, just how much intrigue there is and how much buzz about the movie. I know what's true, and also just the overall excitement about what's to come is super positive. Does it feel like a unique position in that they are building an entire universe basically around you and Jean Grey? And she says, yeah, it's really cool. Also, I think it's such a smart choice, too, to start young and have this younger generation of mutants. It's cool to take on it. It's a cool take on it. But as it starts to assemble and everything, I'm really excited about having a group of people to feel like you're on a team with. And then lastly, they say, are you involved in the screen testing for auditions? And she says, yeah. She says there are certain characters that it's important to establish, like, do you have chemistry with this person? That's always going to be part of the process. It's just exciting to step back into the character a bit and think about, we met her in Spider-Man movie at a really challenging point of her life. So what does she look like going forward with that, with what she's learned? How has she changed, and who is she at her core when she's not looking for VMAX and strapped to a chair and all of that? So yeah, I've been involved, of course, in figuring that out. So she does confirm some screen testing certainly taking place between her and some other actors as well, which I think is pretty integral overall, Stuart. But how do you feel about the idea of, like, she mentions the idea of them really kicking off the mutant saga with Jean Grey kind of at the forefront and focus and kind of building all around it? How do you feel about Sadie Sink being in that position?
I mean, that makes a lot of sense because I believe in most adaptations of the X-Men, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, in X-Men 97, I believe they even reference her being one of Xavier's like earliest students. So I think like having her being the kind of the Kickstarter for this franchise, it works incredibly well. And it even kind of goes back to the original Fox run of X-Men, because even in like X-Men 3, I think they make it, they kind of heavily imply that Jean Grey was one of Xavier's first students, even in that film franchise. So yeah, I think that makes total sense to have her kind of be the Kickstarter to this mutant saga, especially if we're going to be doing some like origin movies for some of these X-Men. I think giving one to her and then maybe even a handful of other mutants would also be like a really cool, fun idea to see.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. There was something really cool, I think, about the beginning of sort of like a new era when it comes to Marvel Studios here, whether or not it's the idea of like selecting Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and then really building the MCU first couple of phases around him, or whether that be, getting Tom Holland on board for the first time as Spider-Man, and then kind of building up a Spider-Man trilogy and even a fourth film for his side of the world around somebody like a Tom Holland. And now to have somebody as talented as Sadie Sink kind of ushering in the world of the mutants and how humanity's kind of going to view them kind of going forward. It gets me really excited to know that she's going to be, the flagship character of that, and that mutant side of the MCU, kind of pushing things forward. And you're right, with her being one of Charles Xavier's first students, it really makes all the sense in the world that she's going to get this opportunity to kind of branch out and really kick things off for the X-Men going forward. And I'm really excited the fact that she's also doing some screen testings with everybody. Seeing her and Kit Connor together is going to be really important. You really got to land that chemistry down between the two of them. And so the fact that Sadie Sink and Kit have had that those chemistry testings, and is probably what helped with Kit Connor winning the role overall. But I got, just for her to be in the room and maybe have some say in regards to things. I don't know. I don't know if she's got the same power that Tom Holland does now at his stage as Spider-Man, but to be in the room and to know what's kind of going on and to have a world being built around you, I think that puts Sadie Sink in a really powerful kind of position in there. And I think it's going to really come down to the chemistry. And so I'm kind of excited to see what her and Kit Connor are going to be doing together, kind of as a couple, to really allow Scott and Jean to. I expect the first X-Men movie to be very Scott and Jean heavy, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be too surprised if that were the case. But yeah, I do think it is cool that they are doing the screen test though, just to be like sure that she has chemistry with these other actors that they think are right for the role. Because yeah, it could. There definitely could be a case out there where it's like two actors perfect for these two individual roles, but then when they come on screen together, it's just the chemistry's not there. So it's good that they're kind of like figuring all this stuff out before they start going into any kind of production.
Yeah, I agree. Kiki and Lucas says Sadie Sink has movie star quality. Yeah, I think she does too.
Oh yeah.
Let me see what else. Fed says justice for the Gifted TV show about X-Men. It deserved better. Yeah, it definitely deserved better. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to it. Fed says Sadie Sink's Jean Grey should be in Doomsday movie since Spider-Man Brand New Day is set before. Yeah, I'll be curious to see if she plays any role in Doomsday or at least Secret Wars kind of going forward. When she's on that bus towards the end of the end of the movie, the only thing I could think of her is like she must be heading up to Westchester. She just seemed like someplace up in Massachusetts or New York, like just from the scenery itself. I just kept thinking to myself, like she looks like she's headed to Westchester for sure. So we'll see.
It definitely looked. It definitely looked upstate New York to me. So I'm thinking that might be where the location of the mansion is going to be.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There are some rumors right now too in regards to, you talked a little bit about what the future of the X-Men is going to be, whether that's going to be like in the form of their individual movies. There had been some talk, some rumors I had been seeing about, maybe Nightcrawler in a Ghost Rider film, which would come out after the X-Men movie. There's even talk about, Storm being in the Black Panther movie, which comes out after X-Men as well. Right. So I feel like once we get that first X-Men movie, it almost feels like the building blocks kind of begin in regards to getting us to that giant sized X-Men run, or the Chris Claremont run, where we are introducing these other kind of mutants and stuff. Whether or not they utilize some special presentations to introduce us to brand new characters in the MCU, I think all of that is definitely possible also.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, here's kind of a funny thought. Like, where have the X-Men been the entire time? I wonder if they'll answer this. I think the X-Men haven't been formed yet in the MCU, but I do think that, like, in terms of mutants, I think it's going to be kind of just explained as they've existed in the MCU the whole time, but they've always been like hiding essentially. One of my friends had this idea that, like, what if Xavier used Cerebros like years ago to wipe everyone's memories about mutants? So they've been in the MCU the entire time. We've just, humans in the MCU have just completely forgotten about them.
Dude, I love that idea. I love that idea of utilizing something like a Cerebro to wipe people's memories. That's pretty gnarly. But yeah, I'm under the impression too that they haven't necessarily formed yet, but that the mutants have been around for a while, kind of hiding amongst us, if you will. So we'll see what route they go. But I'm kind of under the impression again that I think the first X-Men movie will be a little bit more classic X-Men. But we'll see. We'll see what happens when we get to D23 and if they reveal X-Men casting. I think who they cast and what characters they choose will give us a little bit more understanding in regards to the direction that they're going to be going. The only reason why I say classic X-Men is because I think you're already filling that void of the 90s X-Men with X-Men 97. And I think I think the idea of kind of starting out with the first iteration of the X-Men team makes a lot of sense, and then slowly building and introducing more mutants that will eventually come together for maybe an X-Men sequel that it'll feel more like a Chris Claremont or Giant Size X-Men kind of run. So we'll see. Oh, there was a line here. Let me see something real quick. Do I have this? Dang it, I don't have this. I thought I had a quote from Kevin Feige that explains some things in regards to the direction that they might go, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Again, we've got I'm gonna just pull up these fan art. Kit Connor as Cyclops and our Sadie Sink as Jean Grey. Let us know your guys' thoughts in regards to the castings of both of them in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, Stuart, we will move on. Pexy says you should include Archangel in the movie since he was the original member of the X-Men. It probably in more Angel form. I don't know if we're going to get Archangel right away, but I can see him being introduced as Angel in the movie. I think that's what I'm going to be interested in to kind of see at D23. Do we get our Beast announcement? And do we get an Angel and an Iceman announcement? And if we get those three, then I definitely do think we're going more classic X-Men our first time out. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Transitioning from that, we do have more news in regards to the upcoming video game adaptation of God of War. We know that this movie or this television series is set over at Prime Video through Amazon MGM Studios. We have Ronald D. Moore as the showrunner for this series, returning, if you will, from like his Battlestar Galactica days, one of the best sci-fi series that's currently out there. We've even had some first look images revealed from this with was it Ryan Hurst, I believe? I can't remember his name, playing Kratos along with his son. First look image that a lot of people were kind of critical about, but we knew that they were pushing forward with the God of War series. We did have the unfortunate news a couple of weeks ago that the gentleman that was set to play Kratos injured himself on set severely and is now out as Kratos. I don't think production is willing to wait around for him to heal, and they are kind of pushing forward with trying to get back on schedule for God of War television series. And so now, Stuart, there is talks happening that they may have already found their brand new Kratos, and none other than Dave Bautista himself. That's right. Dave Bautista is currently in talks to take over as Kratos in the God of War series. I don't know if this is fully 100% like, signed and dotted on the line sort of thing. But we do have some news here from Deadline saying that Dave Bautista is in fact in talks to join the God of War series. Let's check out see what Deadline is talking about here. Replacing Ryan Hurst in the Amazon series. Amazon MGM Studios are getting a big name replacement for the lead of their high-profile God of War drama series. Dave Bautista is in negotiations to play Kratos in the adaptation of the popular video game series from PlayStation. The role is being recast after Ryan Hurst, who had been originally set as Kratos, tore a bicep while performing a stunt on set in late June, 4 months into the shoot, with injury requiring surgery followed by a long recovery. God of War paused production immediately following the incident. A couple of weeks later, a decision was made to recast the role, with prep expected to begin in mid-August for a mid-October production start in Vancouver, where the show has been based. Batista's extensive background as a decorated professional wrestler would allow him to step into the physically demanding role as Kratos with limited preparation given a tight schedule. What's more is that he's actually coming off of shooting a similarly physical fantasy project in the new Highlander movie, which required him to bulk up. So he's still in his bulked up stage right now, coming from Highlander to God of War.
Damn. Yeah. That's quite a, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it
So,
says hold on, let me finish this last paragraph here,
oh
and I'll
yeah,
get into
sorry.
your thoughts real quick. No, you're good. Ronald D. Moore began filming in February on a 2-season order, with the season slated to film back to back, which remains the plan. Bautista's casting signals a possible different approach to the character of Kratos, which has been a subject of intense online discourse following the first look image that we wind up seeing up here. Although I will say, shout out to Ryan Hurst, who recently on his Instagram posted a video of him in his Kratos. I don't think I have the image downloaded, but Ryan Hurst did go to Instagram and posted an image of him as Kratos, all like jacked up and stuff. And people are now like, we need Ryan Hurst back. We need Ryan Hurst back. Just because he looks a ton better than he does in this image. I keep going back to this image. Like, is this AI? Like, is this even a real image of Ryan Hurst? Because this image of Ryan Hurst does not match the image of Ryan Hurst in his IG picture at all. Like, I'm kind of surprised at the vast difference between the two of them. But regardless, Ryan Hurst is out, and Dave Bautista apparently is in as Kratos, Stuart. How you feeling about this, buddy? Do you like this idea?
Oh man, I mean, Dave Bautista's Kratos feels like way too perfect of casting to the point where I'm like, there's no way that's actually the case, and here it is. It's actually happening. So it's like, damn. I mean, the big thing is that now this, for me anyways, adds way more pressure to the God of War TV show. Like, this better be good. You better not be wasting my Dave Bautista's time here. Because yeah, I think this is like kind of perfect casting. I do want to say though, so with Ryan Hurst, yes, I still think that image looks really just, there's something about that like image that just
right.
work. Like, the framing is bad, like his overall like kind of stance just feels more lazy and less like he's actually trying to teach his son like how to do archery. He looks less like he's actually like trying to help him. It looks more like when a dad is like pretending to be interested in a kid when a kid does, really he's just waiting for his kid to start shutting up so he can go back to watching TV. That's the vibe I get from that image. But I will say though, from what I saw in the Odyssey with Ryan Hurst, damn, I'm a little sad that we don't get to see him as Kratos now, because he may not have been my first thought when it came to Kratos, but holy shit, he had that voice down. Like, I don't know if he like intended to use the Kratos voice in the Odyssey, but that voice was Kratos that he had in the Odyssey. That was a Kratos voice for sure. So it is too bad that we won't be able to see that play out on the small screen in God of War. But yeah, we got Dave Bautista coming in as Kratos. That's going to be really interesting to see. And plus, like, yeah, it's really funny because like Dave Bautista, I usually think of him being jacked, but like the last several years, he's actually lost so much weight that I wasn't sure if he ever really was interested in getting that ripped again. But now hearing that he's getting in shape not only for God of War but also for the Highlander movie, which I'm freaking excited about because I absolutely love Highlander 1, the original. So I think this has a lot of potential. Again, it's all going to come down to the script. I think the reason I still am not super excited for the show, and I've talked about it too when it comes to like other properties, IPs, and all that. I think the more thing that disappoints me is that this is one where it was Amazon approaching the writer and being like, hey, could you write us a God of War show, rather than having a writer who's really into God of War approaching Amazon with an idea for a God of War show. It usually, like, you look at Jon Favreau, for example, why The Mandalorian was so good. It was because Disney didn't ask Jon Favreau to make The Mandalorian. Jon Favreau asked Disney if he could make The Mandalorian. And I think there's like always a huge difference there when someone pitches an idea to a studio based on an existing property, compared to when the studio knows about an existing property and they want someone else to write it for them. There's always like a huge difference in quality, and I think even like looking at The Last of Us and how that same showrunner is going to be working on Baldur's Gate. Like he pitched The Last of Us to HBO Max, but now HBO Max pitched the idea of Baldur's Gate to that showrunner, and that's why I don't really have that much hope for the Baldur's Gate TV show coming to HBO Max. Is because again, this was an HBO led project, not a writer led project. So that is why I'm nervous about the God of War TV show. All that to be said, but when it comes to casting and the potential there, that's what kind of gives me a lot of hope for this. That's what makes me think this could actually work. But yeah, it'll be we'll have to wait and see. I definitely can't wait for the next image to come out. I hope they get a better photographer, or like, I don't know if it's the photographer to blame or whoever set up the photo. Basically, whoever, so usually when I watch movies and there's always a photo shoot, usually it's the photographer that's telling people how to pose, basically, and what to do. So I think it is safe to blame the photographer on this one. I think whoever the photographer was gave horrible direction to both actors. So yeah, terrible photographer. Next time they release set photos for God of War, get a better fucking photographer than the one who did that. Like, seriously.
I gotta say, shout out to Ryan Hurst for putting in the work. It's just really unfortunate that Ryan Hurst is not going to get the opportunity to play Kratos. I don't know. I think it was definitely probably unfairly judged by that one image that we wind up seeing. I would have been a little bit more interested to kind of see other images of him, more behind the scenes stuff of him actually working on set and performing. It would have been cool to kind of see. But it's just really unfortunate that he injured himself, and the timing of it just like could not be worse. I mean, when you're a production company, especially with the idea of having to film two seasons kind of back to back, it's really like you can't miss any time. Like it almost feels like I don't want to say you have to rewrite things, but I wouldn't even be surprised if they had to like recast the younger kid too for somebody else, because like as they're waiting to get back into production, he's just growing and just getting older by the minute, right? So it almost feels as though you probably, if you're going to recast Kratos, you might have to recast the kid also. But we'll see how it comes out. I will just say this. I think, and I can't remember how fan casting was for God of War initially, in the sense of a couple of years ago. Had you told people, hey, we're going to get ourselves a God of War movie, who would you cast in here? I got to think Dave Bautista's name would have come up on this list at some point in time. I don't know if he was like a front runner for fans at any particular point in time. But now that he's in this role, hell to the yeah. Like I love this casting choice. I really do. I think to this day, Dave Bautista still is underrated in regards to like how people view him as an actor, even though I do think that like out of a lot of the wrestling actors that have certainly like wrestlers that have turned actors, I think Dave Bautista is like one of the better in regards to, just performance wise, his range, what he's capable of. And I think especially him coming off of Highlander, still jacked, this is the perfect opportune time to get Dave Bautista, because I can almost guarantee you, like, Dave Bautista's, he's not getting any younger. And so I have a feeling like this is going to be kind of like his last role that we see him in a long time, of him like putting on that weight and putting on that muscle and kind of really being jacked as he is. Because I have a feeling, just maybe from like health concern wise, he's probably trying to get a little bit slimmer in that regard. So this may be like Dave Bautista's final hurrah. I don't want to say in this genre, but as far as like shirtless and muscle bound and things like that, right? Like really big physical roles. Because I mean, if we're getting 2 seasons out of Dave Bautista in here, maybe there's a 3rd season, maybe there's a 4th season, right? So he's probably going to have to stay in shape just a little longer for this. But man, I love this. I love this choice. Again, I feel really bad for Ryan Hurst, but I also understand time is money when it comes to Hollywood and putting productions and stuff together. Not every series is the same. While yes, you might have some streaming services that are certainly willing to wait around for their main actor, I think Amazon is trying to really get this off the ground as soon as they possibly can. And there's a lot of moving pieces and schedules and things like that that have to be rearranged now. So I can understand them wanting to go ahead and replace Kratos. But I'm sure this in turn also has upped the budget of their series, because I'm pretty sure Dave Bautista is probably more expensive than Ryan Hurst. But I got to tell you, money well spent, Amazon. Money well spent, and I think you're going to get an incredible performance out of Dave Bautista here. So I'm really excited for this news.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to what we got here. I'm trying to see if some of the Fed says yes, Stuart Ryan really worked for it. Kiki and Lucas says, don't know much about God of War, but it's in my wheelhouse of things I like to watch, fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah. I'd say if you end up liking the show, definitely recommend the games. For me, I have a history with God of War because I loved the original games on the PlayStation 2. And then of course God of War 3 on PlayStation 3. All three of those games were so much fun, amazing hack and slash, just super badass. Yeah. And I love that the God of War reboot that came out for the PlayStation for the current gen consoles. They just went in a completely different direction. You would never have expected Kratos from that original Greek mythology trilogy to eventually, become a dad again for the first time in years and then actually settle down. You would never expect something like that, but it kind of works for his character because it's once he's killed all the Greek gods, it's what else is there for him to do? So he just kind of settles down and then eventually meets someone. And it's interesting. It's not the story I would have expected for Kratos, but I think it works with the way it's written, and it looks like that's what the Amazon show is going for. They're definitely going for the Norse timeline instead of the Greek mythology timeline. I just hope though they don't ignore the Greek mythology timeline. I hope we get some flashbacks. I would love to see a young Dave Bautista with the goatee that Kratos rocked in the original God of War trilogy. Also, I still think there's potential for Ryan to come back in season 2 if his injuries are better, because he's actually in the God of War video games. He voices Thor. Mm-hmm. So we could potentially, if they wait,
just recast him.
Yeah, they could recast him as Thor in season 2. They just got to not show him in season 1, which is easy because Thor only appeared at the very end of the first God of War game. And even then you never saw his face or anything. But the only thing you had was a shot of his side where you saw his hand hovering over his hammer. That was the only indication you had that it was Thor. Dude, so if they make the season exactly like the video game, we could definitely have Ryan Hurst coming back as Thor in season 2.
Dude, I dig that. I would love something like that to happen. And I am interested based off of just the relationship between his kid, just from an emotional standpoint. I would be fascinated to see Dave Bautista kind of in that role, and I think he would really thrive in it, honestly, too. So I'm excited for it. We'll see how well this goes. And with them having already filmed for 4 months, imagine it's the idea you got to refilm all of that. But I am hoping that they utilize that time in between, getting pre-production up and running to start filming again in October. I really hope that it allows them to make any necessary changes to the script that they certainly might need to, maybe seeing what worked and what didn't within the first 4 months of filming, and seeing what changes that they can make before they begin filming again. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to Dave Bautista in talks to now be the new Kratos for the God of War series. We'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section box below.
Also, this last comment, thought he was fit in Wrecking Crew. Yeah, I totally forgot about that movie. He was pretty jacked in that, which came out earlier this year. If you guys haven't seen it, I actually recommend it. It's Pretty good because we got. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a great movie. I would just say it's fun because Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa just make an excellent buddy cop duo. Like, it's a fun, ridiculous action movie. So I definitely recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, the trailers look pretty fun. I hadn't seen the Wrecking Crew, but the trailers look pretty fun. I would love to see those two on screen together, so I'm gonna have to check it out. Tony Robinson in the house. Wait a minute, I know you guys. I know you too, Tony. Appreciate you coming through, man. Let's move on from God of War to our next topic here today, as we're going to visit the world of Zelda. That's right. The Legend of Zelda is back in the news. Production, I believe, has officially wrapped on Zelda. But this week, we actually got some pretty impressive casting announcements, if you ask me. One that was definitely a surprise to certainly learn about. But the first one that we're going to be talking about today in regards to casting is that our Ganondorf has officially been cast. That's right. If you recognize this face, it's probably because you might have watched the Young Rock series, the Young Dwayne The Rock Johnson series from years back. He actually played Dwayne The Rock Johnson's character on the sitcom series. He has officially been cast as Ganondorf. Let's go ahead and dive into some of this news for you guys. We got a lot of deadline news, if I'm being honest, but let me go ahead and pull this up here for you guys. So yeah, according to Deadline, Uli Latukifu, I'm sorry if I completely butchered that name, lands the villain role of Ganondorf in the Sony and Nintendo's The Legend of Zelda movie. Australian actor Uli Latukifu has landed a major role. He'll play the lead villain Ganondorf in The Legend of Zelda live action feature film. Is a powerful warlock driven to dominate protagonists Link and Princess Zelda's Kingdom of Hyrule. We hear that he inked a multi-picture deal as well. As previously announced, the leads of the project are a pair of up-and-comers. So that we have already talked a little bit about in the past the Zelda and Link casting. But Uli is the first to emerge since Nintendo announced the film's leads last July. Sony first announced that it would distribute and team with Nintendo to co-finance the Zelda movie in the fall of 2020. The director from the Planet of Apes franchise, Wes Ball, who is in fact directing it as well. The film is slated to release in theaters on May 7th in 2027. So they are currently deep in production. He's best known for playing the young Dwayne Johnson in the sitcom Young Rock, which ran for 3 seasons on NBC. He's also in, it says it's Black Adam. I don't recall him in Black Adam. He's been in Black Adam, Next Goal Wins, along with Maxine, and then the Prime Video series Countdown. So yeah, he's definitely been around for sure, but our Ganondorf has been found, Stuart. I mean, he kind of looks the part, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I gotta hear his voice though, because I think that when it comes to Ganondorf, that's what you need. Even if it took 30 years for the character to actually be voice acted, because for a long time it's always text in the Zelda games. But yeah, I feel like whenever I played Ocarina of Time and I read Ganon's lines, I would always have this very intimidating voice in my head. So I think that's what it's going to really come down to. Is he going to sound menacing? He's definitely got the build for it, though. I definitely think that once you put him in kind of some green face paint, I definitely think I can definitely see the menacing look of Ganon from this guy. I haven't seen a single thing that he's been in except for Black Adam, and I think he played.
You remember him?
I think he played his son, if I'm not mistaken, after he got the powers from the wizard, because he's credited as the champion. So I assume that's probably who he was. So yeah, that's funny. He played young Dwayne Johnson, and he played Black Adam's son. That's pretty funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
We
also have other news.
Casting. Yeah. Just overall. I think it has potential. The casting.
We also got some other interesting casting. One that I certainly wasn't expecting. Apparently, Sam Neill. Rest in peace to Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. But Sam Neill actually filmed Legend of the Zelda role prior to his death, according to Deadline. Then we also have some other names announced as well. Deshaun Lockman and Yvonne Strahovski are also cast in there. It says earlier today, news broke that Australia's Uli had landed the villain role of Ganondorf. And now sources tell us that the late Sam Neill also will appear in the film. That's kind of a crazy casting announcement. Reps for Sony couldn't be reached for comment, nor could Neill's former reps. The project, which wrapped in April, will mark one of Neill's final screen performances, if not the last. It's not yet clear as to who he plays, but Sam Neill did pass away this past July 13th. So sources were unclear about Strahovski's role, though we're told that she plays a queen character. They also had Deshaun Lockman set to play Impa, the bodyguard and advisor to the up-and-comer Princess Zelda. So it's some pretty big casting announcements here. So the woman in the middle is Deshaun Lockman. She's going to be playing Impa, the bodyguard, I guess you can say, of Princess Zelda. And then to the far right, Yvonne Strahovski, no name yet, but apparently she's supposed to be set to play another queen within this world. And then Sam Neill all the way to the left. No real character announced for him as of yet, but he's in this movie. I think that's like the biggest surprise to me, is like I was not expecting Sam Neill to even be in this. Like there was no talk. I don't even know if I remember hearing any rumors of, like online scoopers kind of talking about Sam Neill being in this movie. So if they were, I definitely missed it. I'm kind of curious as to how big this role is, how small it is. Not to say that it's not like I see Sam Neill in everything these days. So I feel like he's pretty picky in regards to the roles that he wants to play. So the idea of him popping up in a Zelda movie, I'm just like, how good is this script, and like what really appealed to him to even want to take this role in the first place? So I am kind of hoping that as this movie gets closer to release, that maybe the writers or director comes out and maybe talks a little bit about Sam Neill's involvement in here. Maybe some of the talks that they wind up having, because Sam Neill is unfortunately not here to kind of give his perspective as to why he got the role. But if he had the opportunity to talk with some of the writers or Shigeru Miyamoto or any of the executives at Nintendo, I am kind of curious if they know or picked his brain in regards to like why Sam was the one for this particular role. So yeah, was not expecting a Sam Neill announcement, but it's really just cool in general to kind of see we are getting a Legend of Zelda live action movie. Like it's kind of gone under the radar, I think, for many people. Even the fact that it's currently in post production right now and set to be released next year is kind of like a pinch me moment. But the fact that we are getting these characters presented to us and some of the casting being revealed, it's very much a real thing right now. And so I'm kind of excited for all these casting announcements. I don't know half of their prior work, although I think Deshaun Lockman, I've seen her a couple times in the middle. Mm-hmm. I've definitely seen her a couple times. But I'm really fast to kind of see just what this movie is even going to be, Stuart.
Oh yeah, like because there have been so many times where they tried to adapt Legend of Zelda, but then like every time there's something always falls through with it. I still remember like 2009, I want to say it was when IGN posted a fake April Fool's trailer for The Legend of Zelda, and it looked so good that I didn't even realize it was fake until like the next day, where I told my buddy about it, and he was like, yeah, that was an April Fool's joke, right? I'm like, no, that looks way too good to be an April Fool's joke. And then lo and behold, it was. I absolutely, am excited for this because, again, I think that Legend of Zelda, it just as a franchise, it feels very much like something flexible enough to where there's so many like creative directions you could go with adapting it into a movie. The continuity, like I know if you ask really hardcore fans, they will tell you you exactly how every game fits into the timeline and how it all does make sense. To me, I always just kind of see every game as its own like unique world, unless it's a direct sequel to another game. I never really looked at the Zelda games as all being one definitive timeline, and I know I just killed the souls of a bunch of Zelda fans who could probably prove me wrong with a lot of really good evidence. But again, I'm not like a hardcore Zelda fan. I played a bunch of Zelda games, but I'm not like hardcore into the franchise, unfortunately. But I do think that there is a lot of potential for a movie in terms of like the creative flexibility that you have, in terms of kind of the world that's been established from the game. I think there's so much you can do with that in the action setting. But yeah, when it comes to this cast that we've got, it's so much bigger than I would have expected. Like I would never guess Sam Neill in this movie.
Me either.
Ditchin Lackman, I absolutely love her in Severance. She was also in Shameless for like a small role, like for I think a few episodes, but she was really good in that show as well. She and man, she is just incredibly good looking, I gotta say. So her in this movie, and then she's playing Zelda's bodyguard, which I can definitely see her in that role perfectly. If it's the character I'm thinking of from Ocarina of Time, I think she is absolutely perfect for that role. And then of course, when it comes to Yvonne Strakovsky, I immediately think of her role from even though it's not even a live action role, I just immediately go to Mass Effect when she voiced Miranda from Mass Effect 2 and 3. Looking at her IMDb, she was also in Dexter, the TV show. I don't know if I remember her role in that show, though. I never finished the original run of Dexter. I think I stopped like a few seasons before it ended. But yeah, these are actors where when you look them up on IMDb, they've definitely got a lot of experience under their belt. So I'm surprised they got this big with the casting for sure. But I am definitely excited for this.
Yeah, I'm really pumped for this too, man. I hope it comes together well. I don't even know when we're gonna get our first official look or even teaser trailer for this. I feel like it's a little bit of a ways before we actually get our first teaser for it in any capacity. I can't remember when they said that this movie was set to release or not in 2027. It is set for release May 7th of 2027. So we're certainly like a year, less than a year away from this movie actually becoming a thing. We got Nathan in the house. What's up, Nathan? Appreciate you coming through today. I hope this live action adaptation translates well. I really do too. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Sony live action stuff, or at least when they try to adapt things. But I do believe in Shigeru Miyamoto and his guidance for Nintendo in regards to making this a live action adaptation. I think if anything, they're probably holding a lot of the cards in regards to the decision making in regards to what this movie turns out to be. So I'm hoping that he's a good guiding light to allow this translation on the live action big screen to actually happen. They've been so guarded with their IP that I think they want to be really certain about the directions that they take for this. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Fed says Sam Neill was good on Untamed season 1. I streamed it on Netflix. Season 2 coming soon. Let's see. We got Marcelino in the house. Deshaun Lockman was also Daisy's mom in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and had 2 episodes of Supergirl. I might remember her from the Supergirl episodes, but I appreciate you bringing that up. Also had a minor role in both Jurassic World Dominion and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Maybe that's where I remember seeing her too, in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So she like one of the surviving humans inside the bunker and things like that set up that mission, if I'm not mistaken. I might have to check it out. I might have to check it out again. But yeah, she's always one of those characters that she plays these minor roles, but when she plays it, just because of her unique like appearance and stuff, it's like you immediately like, oh yeah, I know that, I've seen her around before, sort of thing. So I'm kind of curious to see what else she's gonna bring to this role. But yeah, man, Ganondorf cast and a couple other casting announcements for Legends of Zelda. Let us know your thoughts in the live chat below. What else we got here? Next up, let's transition over to some horror, Stuart. As we've got It Welcome to Derry back in the news. After its incredible first season, we've been highly anticipating really any news that we can get when it comes to the second one. I believe they are currently in the writer's room, kind of fleshing out all the details. Who knows exactly when they're going to get in front of the cameras again. But season 2 is quietly in development, so much so that we did have the producers of It Welcome to Derry kind of highlight a little bit in regards to the direction that season 2 is certainly set to go ahead and take us. So let's go ahead and dive into this update and see exactly where we're going to be going with It season 2. This is from Variety.com. It Welcome to Derry creator says season 2 will not shy away from the horrible cultural themes of the 1930s. It's actually the heart of our story, according to them. So it says, as horror fans eagerly await the next chapter, co-creator Andy Muschietti has shared some new details on the current status of season 2. He says, we're very excited. We're in the writer's room right now. The next season will take place in 1935, centering around one of the interludes in the It novel, the Bradley Gang Massacre. As recalled in the book, a group of outlaws hide out in the town of Derry while fleeing the FBI, robbing and murdering store owners and causing all-around chaos. It takes place 27 years before the first season of It Welcome to Derry, which follows the mystery surrounding a young boy gone missing amongst the Cold War military plot. Andy says, there's going to be a lot of that Depression era hustling in the air in our characters. Everybody's trying to get by and survive the circumstances. They're going to do crazy things. And of course, the social, cultural, horrible things that were happening in that era too. We're not going to skip those. They are very much the center and the heart of our story. It says, while It fans have been accustomed to the franchise's focus on horror that looks underneath images of suburban comfort and kids riding bicycles, Muschietti says season 2's aesthetic will differ. He says, in this case, on the surface, Derry is a graveyard almost. It's a carcass of something because people are depleted, poor, tired, jobless, homeless. The kids don't have a suburban comforting life. They are in a very different situation. Some of them are orphans or runaways, and so the environment is pretty bleak. But there's always the aspect of hope that is always there burning, and it's what keeps our new group going. There will always talking about the 30s interlude in King's original story doesn't take up much of the overall story, but the family bloodline will help fans connect the different timelines. And he says there will always be the connection. There's a family tree that appears, is what Muschietti winds up teasing. And I think after season 1, they definitely might have hinted as to whose family tree might be being told here, but definitely a much bigger connection between these seasons. Stuart, if I can be honest, man, I love the sound of this shit. Like I absolutely love it, and I'm just eating it up. Like I literally cannot wait for season 2. But I think as a history buff, somebody that really appreciates history, I really have become infatuated with like just Andy Muschietti's take on these different eras. You know, really not shying away from the racism in season 2 and kind of embracing it and really showcasing like the themes surrounding it in regards to the big sort of epic event that winds up taking place with the burning down of the bar on the military base and stuff, or outside the military base for the black-owned company out there. And then for them now to kind of go into the Depression era. You know, the one thing that comes to mind is like why anybody would even want to live in Derry. I have no idea. Like I can't even imagine. Like nothing ever good happens in the town of Derry. And so, to kind of see like how, especially from the Depression era, when he talks about the aesthetic of Derry being significantly different, it is amazing to me just like how a town can grow so much within a 27-year time period. to go from that depression era of being poor and like the homeless running the streets or people at poverty stricken sort of thing, to then see where we are in Derry, Welcome to Derry season one, and the schools and the houses and the neighborhoods and the environment that's kind of built up over those years, built on top of really tragic and terrible things that have happened in this particular town. It is fascinating just to kind of see the growth. And I think that's one thing that fascinates me about seeing them going backwards in time, to kind of see what came before, kind of see something in, I don't want to say present day, but kind of now, and then kind of seeing what came prior to that, and just the building blocks of then connecting all of that to kind of move forward, if you will, in time a little bit. So really interesting stuff, but I really appreciate Andy Muschietti from not shying away from it, and really giving us some brand new perspectives for some of these kids. And I'm even more fascinated, Stuart, in just what that family tree and connection is going to kind of look like. But for somebody that's for a small little interludes in an It novel, to have somebody like Andy Muschietti just expand upon them, I think from a writing perspective and just a show idea is pretty brilliant, if you ask me. But how do you feel about this news?
It doesn't surprise me, and I say that mostly because, looking at, like you mentioned, even season one was definitely not afraid to shy away from like historically accurate portrayals of what that year would have looked like, especially for people of color, both Black and of course like Native American as well. I think they did it very tastefully in a lot of ways, and I love that. It was disturbing because it should be. So now seeing that we're going into an even darker side of U.S. history, and especially during the Great Depression, where it's like I could see it definitely being a time period where people who may not have actually been that bad had they been raised under better circumstances. I think this could be a time period where you see like people who could have been good people like forced to do terrible things just to like kind of get by.
Right.
So I look forward to seeing how that gets portrayed in this, and maybe that'll be the appeal of Derry, because to them, maybe it may be a really shitty town, but it offers them more stability than anywhere else in the world, to where it's like, okay, we have to deal with a killer clown alien every 27 years, but at least we have a stable housing, that kind of a thing. Which, given today's market, that wouldn't be too much of a downside for me, if I'm being honest. So I think, again, man, when I went into Welcome to Derry season one, I had such low expectations, and that show kind of blew my mind. I think the one thing that I'm kind of nervous about going into this is they constantly mention the family bloodline. And that was the one thing I felt like it was a misstep when it came to season one. And I say that because and I've never read the book, so maybe this is something that he could do in the books. But when it came to the movie, and then even when it came to the Welcome to Derry, right up until the big reveal, like kind of towards the, I think it was the season finale, if I'm not mistaken.
It was the season finale, yeah.
It was, yeah. They suddenly make him Dr. Manhattan and suddenly say that Pennywise sees everything, every timeline all at once, which to me was really weird. And it also just kind of makes him look dumb as a villain, because now he knows what he has to do to prevent his death in the future, and he still can't achieve that. It's like all you have to do is kill this 10-year-old kid, which you're really good at doing, as we've seen from your history. So, you not being able to accomplish this one thing to make sure you never die is a little weird to me. So that was kind of my biggest downside, is them introducing that element into Pennywise's powers. It just makes him look really, really stupid, to my opinion. So that was my personal downside when it came to looking at season one on the show. So to see them explore that more, it's either going to make me dislike it even more, or it'll recontextualize it in a way that makes me go, okay, never mind. That line does make more sense. He's not as dumb as I originally thought. But yeah, it is I'm assuming that's what they're going to refer to when it comes to the family bloodline specifically, is they're going to be referring to, forgot her name. I'm terrible when it comes to names, as everyone probably knows already. So I assume that's what they're going to be kind of like referring to is her bloodline. Like we may even see like her mother, but like as a kid, and what probably
Marge.
Marge, yeah. We're probably going to see Marge's
Yeah.
mother, but like when she was Marge's age, that'd be my assumption. But overall, definitely looking forward to season 2. Oh, and the other thing too is they mentioned like that very specific gang, which we even see in kind of like the opening of Welcome to Derry. I am looking forward to seeing a lot of those like references that we get in the opening credits to Welcome to Derry, and seeing those and how they actually like play out on the screen. I'm curious if they're going to add anything to it, or if they're going to just keep the opening exactly as it is. I kind of hope they keep the opening as it is, to kind of foreshadow what's to come in season 2 and 3, and as a way to remind us of what we already witnessed from season 1. But yeah, I'm excited for this.
See, that's funny. If anything, I would say from the opening and just like the opening credits, like the town of Derry, the way that they had it, there's a part of me that's kind of hoping that it does change based off
Oh,
of
okay.
the new time period that they're kind of in also. But it is interesting, just the way that they tell this story. It's non-linear and just kind of going backwards. So there's a part of me that thinks, at least I'm hoping, in regards to the family tree thing, that there is a little bit more context kind of added to it to kind of build up to it, because it would be interesting to be able to like one day sit down and rewatch this series in I don't want to say backwards order, but to watch it season 3 and then season 2 and then season 1 and then jump right into the It movies themselves.
I think
I
that's
will be
what we're
interested
gonna
to kind
do
of
when
see
season
like,
3 comes out.
yeah, yeah, I think we should, because I have a feeling that on a bigger scale it'll connect in a way that we certainly maybe didn't necessarily expect. So I'm loving what Andy Muschietti is doing here. It feels very much like it's going to be a while before he touches Brave and the Bold, the Batman movie at this point in time. But I like his focus where it's at right now on Welcome to Derry. Even Kiki and Luke is a big fan of the show.
Yeah, honestly, if they wanted to, take him off of Brave and the Bold and have him just focus on the show, you won't see any complaints from me. In fact, may even encourage it. Sorry, just after the Flash, I really don't want to see him doing any more comic book projects.
Give me
He
Sam
couldn't even
Raimi.
get the Flash right, so it's like I don't trust him with Batman.
I feel the same way. I mean, there are elements of Andy Muschietti that I could see pulling off a Batman movie, just from the darker elements in regards to what he's been able to do. Like I can see the appeal for sure, because honestly, like out of the Flash movie, it's a movie I kind of want to go back and rewatch, because I haven't rewatched it since the theaters, because I didn't really care for it so much. But if there's anything I walked away from the Flash movie, was like all the Batman scenes were great to me. Like I loved what he did with the Batman aspect of things. So in that regards, I can see why he would be attached. But if for some reason going forward he's not attached, I'm just gonna throw Sam Raimi's name in the hat a little bit. I think his horror element, his style would be really unique, I think, to a new DCU vision for Batman. If you're not trying to go the Matt Reeves kind of style, I think Sam Raimi just has his own unique style of storytelling that would be kind of interesting. It's almost like it feels like it could be like a modern day um, Tim Burton type of vibe to it a little bit. Definitely a different style, but I think just from horror elements, I think he could really tap into something a little bit darker. And I know Sam Raimi has talked about wanting to do a Batman movie too. So I'm just saying, James Gunn, if Andy Muschietti doesn't work out, let's throw Sam Raimi's hat in the circle. But we'll see.
Yeah, you know
Yeah,
what? I'll throw in one more name, Scott Derrickson. If we're going with horror directors that I think could do it, Scott Derrickson did a great job with the first Doctor Strange movie. I'd be curious to see what he would do with Batman.
Bro, what a deep cut that was. Oh my God. I would love to see that. I would really love to see that. Because there was even elements of like, even in the first Doctor Strange movie, you felt like he was even held back a little bit more. He was kind of held back in his first Doctor Strange movie, and I would have loved to have seen what he would have been able to do with the sequel, or maybe even going forward. So I like that. I like that cut. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to It Welcome to Derry Season 2. What are your expectations? What are you looking for? Let us know your thoughts. And last but not least, Stuart, I do want to transition over to the Avatar franchise a little bit. It's, after The Way of Water, I think The Way of Water made $1 billion. Not The Way of Water. Fire and Ash. Can you look up the box office for Fire and Ash? If anything, I will say for me personally, I found Fire and Ash to be the better of the sequels. Actually enjoyed it a little bit more than Way of Water. So much so, in fact, that after watching Avatar, Fire and Ash, I kept thinking to myself, I need the fourth Avatar movie. Like, I need the fourth Avatar movie. And while I know that James Cameron certainly wants to do other things, he is getting to that age in his career where I think he's got to start really focusing and start narrowing down maybe the number of projects that he's kind of working on. And so it finds himself in a really weird position right now in regards to trying to figure out where he wants to take his career kind of going forward, maybe knowing that he doesn't really have too much time left in regards to being behind the director's chair. So more Avatar, other movies, who certainly knows, but James Cameron definitely addresses it here in this week's article. We got an article from the playlist, I believe.com, where James Cameron's only midway in on telling the Pandora saga stories, still alluding to Avatar 6 ambitions. He says 3 out of 5 and counting. So my man clearly wants to do more Avatar, but it says in a new Legacy interview with Dennis Donlin, uploaded to YouTube last month as part of Cameron being awarded the esteemed Governor General Lifetime Achievement Award back in June, he's sort of giving some hints that Avatar 6 is still potentially part of his sequel plans and being open to the idea of other filmmakers taking on the franchise. He says, but when I shifted into the Avatar world, which was 2005, I went down that path of naturism. I'm still kind of midway in that saga. I have films I want to make outside of that world, but that's not even a story that's finished for me. 3 out of 5 and counting. Cameron said of his hunger to tell more stories in the Pandora saga, seemingly teasing his ambition to even go as far as a possible Avatar 6. Mind you, that one isn't even officially in the works or being scripted as far as we know. He added that towards the end of the interview of potentially handing off the sequels to other filmmakers, without naming which ones, but an idea he's mused about multiple times in the past. He says, so this is the point where I'm looking at the landscape and asking, what are the other stories I want to tell? How many of them do I need to direct myself versus writing and producing with other filmmakers? And the criterion, I've literally mapped this out for myself over the last 2 weeks. I started with what will do the most good. I put that in block letters at the top, and I started looking at all the projects I'm most fond of, asking, how is this going to improve our condition? How's that going to make the world better for our kids? I haven't made any decisions yet. I'm still in this liminal state of mapping out, kind of the last act. And I don't know if that last act will last a year or 20 years. So yeah, he's got a lot in the oven right now. Says Cameron has talked up the idea of another 2 sequels in the past, alongside a possible animated spin-off anthology project, but wasn't entirely sure if he'd direct those. We're expecting that folks like Robert Rodriguez might get an offer after handling Alita Battle Angel. Cameron was going to helm, but got caught up with the Avatar sequels. There's a lot of moving pieces here, right? He's also alluded to being in the works, including the Terminator 7 at Paramount. His gestating horror action fantasy film, The Devils, and a World War II drama based on a nonfiction book, Ghost of Hiroshima, about the survivors of the atomic bomb. So yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces for James Cameron right now, Stuart, and definitely plenty of options for him in regards to like, yeah, I'm midway in the Pandora saga, but I'm really It feels like he's mapping out the finale of his career in regards to what he wants to touch upon and what he doesn't. What do you think about his mindset in regards to him mapping out things that will improve us as people, help out society, compared to some of the other stories that he wants to tell? It seems as though he's kind of mapping things out in levels of importance for him right now. Where do you see James Cameron working on next, or what would you like to see him kind of work on next with that mentality he's taking?
Trying to think of how to phrase all this without sounding like an asshole. I would like to see him actually moving things forward. I think my biggest disappointment with Way of Water and Fire and Ash is, and I didn't even notice it when I saw Way of Water, but I realized it after I finished Fire and Ash. Fire and Ash made me disappointed in Way of Water because it was after watching it I realized what got accomplished in Way of Water. And I realized, because characters
it's were the same
movie. Yeah, characters picked up exactly where they were in the second movie. Like I feel like they're like, you had some characters get killed off in the second movie, yes. But I think in terms of where their arcs were at, mentally wise, everyone felt exactly the same as in the second movie. It felt like there was hardly any real like character growth, I think, between movies. And then of course, they had the same plot with the whaling and everything, like with them like being like, oh no, going after whales is wrong because whales are intelligent creatures. So, it was the exact same plot there. I did like the Fire Tribe, but like I feel like that should have been the plot of the movie, focus on them and something new, rather than just repeating the plot of the second movie, just with a now crazy tribe involved as well. I think that was like kind of my big thing. So I think that when it comes to James Cameron's mentality, first of all, yeah, I kind of respect what he's going for. Like, I want something that will change the world in a way, something that can inspire people, so it's like, okay, that's a cool mentality to have for sure. But my thing is just make sure you're not just like kind of repeating yourself when doing so. Make sure your story and everything is like actually moving forward if that's the direction you're going in. Yeah, I think that, again, I feel like I feel like I was really hyped for Avatar 2 when it was announced. But after kind of Fire and Ash, I just gone back to being kind of neutral about the whole Avatar franchise. So I'm glad this is a project that James Cameron is very proud of. I'm glad that he loves this project. It's just, it's something that in the future, I'm just going to be kind of casual about. I don't think I'm going to really have that much hype for when it comes to the Avatar franchise. But I am curious to see where it goes. And I am curious if the way he's describing it, the way he's describing about moving it forward, wanting to make sure it kind of reflects our reality today. I'm very curious what kind of changes about the script, because I feel like our world is constantly changing, getting crazier and crazier. So I'd be curious to see how much of that impacts the overall script that we get with 4 and 5 as they come out. Like, are they going to look completely different than the way they currently look? Like if you were to look at the rough drafts for Avatar 4 and 5, is it going to look so much different by the time it comes to theater because of the way our world is changing and him wanting his movies to kind of reflect that? I remember when he was talking about Terminator, the next Terminator movie. I'm not calling it 7 because like there hasn't been a real sequel to Terminator since Terminator 3. After that, it's just been reboot after reboot, pretending to be a sequel, but really they all just kind of exist in their own universe. But that being said, if he does another Terminator movie, I remember him talking about him wanting to wait to see how AI changes over time, like actual AI, and let that be reflected in his next Terminator movie. So I'd be very curious to see if that's kind of like what he does with Avatar, and see like how our world changes, how our world leaders are changing, how much power our corporations are having over world leaders, and how much that will be what kind of affects the script going forward when it comes to the next Avatar movies. I think there's potential for sure. I just think that for now, until I see Avatar 4 and until I see that world like actually moving forward, I'm just kind of neutral about the whole thing.
Yeah, I could definitely respect that for sure. I mean, I think for me, I will say in regards to Avatar, Fire and Ash, the one aspect that I really did appreciate about that movie though was the impact of grief and how everybody really handled it differently. You know, seeing how the mother progressed through the story with that kind of burden of having lost her child onto her, how it really changed Jake Sully, kind of as a father. And just how protective of his kids, and sometimes even distant from his own children that he kind of found himself in. So I think the loss of one of the siblings and one of the kids in The Way of Water, I think that impact definitely can be felt in something like Fire and Ash, but there definitely are like plot points within Fire and Ash that are very similar to The Way of Water that feels like it's just a better version of The Way of Water. Like this could have been the movie that we came out with first, if you will. But definitely the impact of the loss of their child and sibling, definitely, to me at least, was felt in that movie. I will say this. I think if I had an order in which of like the next James Cameron projects, I definitely want him to direct Avatar 4, then the next Terminator movie, and then I definitely do need that Hiroshima film also. I think if we're talking about projects that you want to leave behind for the world to learn anything from, I think continuing your Avatar story is cool. Maybe like Avatar 5, let somebody else direct it, because I do think we're at the point of the franchise where it's like diminishing returns at this point. Like I think the box office is going to continue to shrink and shrink and shrink as we kind of move forward. I think somebody in there said $1.6 billion for Fire and Ash, if I'm not mistaken. Did you look that up, Stuart? The box office? I wouldn't mind
The
seeing.
number that I got was 1.49 billion.
What was The Way of Water? What did The Way of Water do? Do you recall?
Wait. What? Two. Okay, yeah. So that one made 2.3 billion. So okay, so it was like almost an entire billion less. But I mean, I don't know.
Well,
If
I mean,
I'm Disney, I still look at the fact that it's still
no,
over a
yeah.
billion.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think the diminishing return in the sense of, for three, we waited a long time for the third one to come out. It's almost reminded me of like Star Wars. Like it came back out and everybody rushed to it, right?
Yeah.
And then I think when it comes to Fire and Ash, I think that's probably more or less like your true baseline at 1.2 or 1.4. I think you mentioned. And so I expect the next Avatar movie to either make that or just a little bit less. And with how expensive these movies certainly are becoming, I don't know if that's them breaking even or not. But I will say I do think at this point for James Cameron, write out make sure you got your scripts completed for 4 and 5. I say direct Avatar 4 and then maybe hand it off to another director for the finale. But I would like to see him tackle something like a Terminator, especially if we're talking about wanting to leave humanity with great lessons based off of where we're at in AI, because apparently nobody listened to you when you made Judgment Day and still decided to kind of go down that path. I would love to see him find a story for Terminator that even takes AI to a next horrifying level of where things could really go for humanity, in the sense of trying to, people are already like fuck AI as it is. So I think this is like the prime opportunity to make another great Terminator movie if he really wanted to, that speaks to us as a society. And I think also the Hiroshima project would be really, just from a historical standpoint, I think sometimes as humanity and society, we need a reminder about our history, because I mean, some people just look at 50 years ago as like something that's like beyond our reach. That's like mythological. Like this couldn't have happened possibly 50 years ago. And it's like, dude, we've got grandparents that live, like your parents lived through stuff 50 years ago. Your grandparents literally can tell you stories from like 60, 70 years ago, right? So I think sometimes we need a refresher in regards to our sins, uh, uh, our sins in regards to humanity in general, in an attempt to not repeat them. And just based off where we are and what seemingly feels like another endless war and like what could pop off at any moment in time, it's just like, no, I think sometimes we need a friendly reminder, you know? And so I think those three projects would be really impactful if he's looking as far as like things that will affect humanity kind of going forward and have lasting impact. That's the direction that I would love to see him go. But I am really open to him handing off the reins to somebody else. Like I'm sure that's really difficult for him, especially for him of all people, because I'm sure he looks at all these projects as like his babies, and he, if he gave birth to them, he probably wants to be around to wrap up their stories also. But I think with something like Avatar, that's just going to take so many years of your time, and you've got other projects that you want to do. I think after Avatar 4, just start handing off the reins. In fact, I would not be mad at him actually doing another Terminator first, or the Hiroshima project first, and then returning for an Avatar 4 at some point in time. But that's where I would like to see him kind of go with it, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Marcian says, I think James Cameron should stop at 4 because Avatar magic is slowly dying. The last movie went too long, where I wanted to leave and plagiarize the first one. Kiki and Lucas says, I've been to Hiroshima and Nagasaki both. Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. Kiki and Lucas says James Cameron met the nuclear bomb survivor and promised to tell his story before he died. Interesting. I did not know that. So yeah, that's another reason why you gotta push that forward. Yeah. Kiki says, I don't know anyone who likes Avatar, but seems to make a lot of money. Kiki and Lucas also with the super chat. Thank you so much. A $1.99 super chat. Thank you for always making my Sunday an A+ day. Hey, that's what we're here for, man. That's what we're here for.
Oh yeah.
Avatar. Nathan says that Avatar movies are these events that people show up to see. They make bank. Yeah, there's a part of me that feels like I don't know why, but like when I think of Avatar, I think of like, I don't want to say, this sounds really weird, like it feels like I don't know how to explain, like a franchise that's of our own in a weird way. I know it vastly is seen around the world and makes a ton of money worldwide, but I don't know why. Like I feel like Avatar franchise is like ours in a sense. There's a sense of like ownership to it, and so I think that's why people continue to come back to it. I don't know how to explain it. It's really weird, but yeah, Avatars tend to be event films, and people always show up for it, regardless.
Yeah.
I would agree that I do think some of the magic is fading, but I think the next movie would probably still make $1 billion, if I'm being honest, Stuart.
I think if not $1 billion, it would be like 900 million at the very least. Like
Yeah,
there's no way it makes less. There's no way it makes less than 900 million.
Yeah, I agree. But let us know your thoughts. With James Cameron seemingly having so many projects that he wants to do, what's the order in which the projects you would like to see him tackle? And would you be upset with the idea of him handing over the reins for somebody else to finish off his Avatar saga? Let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, guys, let's get into our last segment of the day. And Stuart, I think you know what time it is.
I do indeed.
And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get into our live viewer questions portion of the show. I probably got to leave here in about an hour, if I'm being honest, to make my 3:45 showing. So let's try and fly through some of these questions here. But for live viewer questions, look, guys, if you ever want to submit a live viewer question, how do you go about doing that? Well, it's pretty simple. Every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, I will go ahead and make a post over on our YouTube channel. Just go to our YouTube channel as you see here. Click on this post tab right here. And again, every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, I will go ahead and drop a live viewer question for you guys. We got 14 comments. All right, so we may blaze through some of these. Maybe one of us will answer some of these from time to time instead of both of us. But let's fly through this. AJ, the Morphing Grid, Samurai versus Ninja Steel. Be careful what you wish for. While Samurai faithfully embraced its Shinkinja roots and injected genuine character depth despite studio friction, its controversial casting choices and heavy adaptation still drew initial fan backlash. Ironically, critics who demanded an original Americanized approach got their wish with Ninja Steel, which stripped away all Japanese aesthetic to create a hollow, derivative clone of Mighty Morphin. Consequentially, Samurai is now viewed much more favorably by fans when contrasted against the abysmal failure of Ninja Steel and its disastrous 20th anniversary mess of Megaforce. Which of these two contrasting adaptation styles do you prefer? If I'm being honest, I appreciate the adaptation style of Ninja Steel. I just need a better script next time, my guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I would say.
That's a good point. It is very much be careful what you wish for, but I got to go with Samurai for this one because, yes, on paper, I prefer an original adaptation. Ninja Steel is just so bad.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. I can see people's appreciation for Samurai. I have been seeing a lot more Samurai love over the past few years. But I just think from an adaptation style, I definitely would want to go more the original route. That's not me. That's not a stamp of approval for Ninja Steel. Let me just say that. But I would definitely need a much better script in regards to if I'm going to be doing something a little bit more original. But I appreciate that question, Marcelino. You guys often use your own headcanons to help explain stuff that may or may not always be explained. However, there are a group of people who using headcanons because it sounds like gaslighting into reinforcing toxic positivity. So that if there are problems with the movie, the writer could just scapegoat the criticisms and say that people are not using their headcanon enough. Some people prefer if every explanation is said straight up front.
Look, when it comes to my headcanon stuff, I usually only do that when it comes to movies I like. And yeah, you could say that's making excuses for the writer, but at the end of the day, it's like art is to that of the beholder. So I choose to enjoy something that may not be perfect. I would say it's only toxic positivity if like it's something that is just really bad, but you know, you're either you're getting paid by a studio to say nothing but good things about something, then that's when I would call it toxic positivity. But no, if you like something and you have an explanation in your head of how something that doesn't make sense to other people makes sense to you, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It only becomes an issue if you tell someone that they're incorrect for not liking something, or if you tell them that their plot holes that they point out are objectively wrong only because you have your own headcanon. You know, I recognize when I come up with a headcanon, that does not mean I am correct in saying that is what the writer had in mind. You know, it is still a plot hole, whether or not my headcanon works or whether my headcanon wasn't implemented or not. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have a headcanon that, like, 11 survives at the end of Stranger Things. And, like, I feel like I could make an argument that some of the things that they dropped in the show would reveal and tease the idea that like 11 is in fact survives. Now I'm sure there's some people that probably think otherwise, that 11 didn't survive, but it's like I'm not going to say no, my headcanon is true. You know, like if people look at the idea of 11 maybe not surviving as like weak storytelling, or you know they didn't necessarily approve with the Duffers in regards to that idea, I mean that's fair if they don't believe that. But like my own headcanon is just, I think she survived, and I think that they wind up putting the pieces in place for that. But I'm open-minded enough to be like, I know that that's possibly not true. You know, like I'm sure the Duffers maybe had their own way of saying, you know, their own interpretations. So I'm not going to be upset with other people if, you know, they oppose my headcanon or whatever the case. Like my headcanon is just something I would like to, you know, I'd like to think is true, but if it's not, like that's cool. Like I'm not I don't know how to explain it, but I'm not gonna get a butthurt about somebody, not agreeing with my headcanon in regards to that. But um, I don't think it's ever really a sense to clear up somebody else's weak plot or storyline. It's just, how I don't know how I would like to see a little bit more happy ending to things sometimes. But I don't know. I don't see it as reinforcing toxic positivity. I mean, I'm sure maybe in some cases, but I don't think we've ever used our own headcanon in that space before, Stuart.
Yeah, no, I don't think we do it, but I do see it as like, if someone does it like as an excuse to dismiss plot holes, or
Right.
I always love the term doing the writer's job for them, basically.
Right. It's time to talk about the Invincible voice actor problem. Many people have criticized the show's Invincible for relying on celebrities for voice roles and no actors who specialize in voice acting, since that means most of the budget would go to paying for the voice actors and not in the animation. This has grown more after it was recently revealed that Invincible has only 4 animators working on the entire show. Also, some celebrity voice background and minor actors characters and the animation suffers from. Even comparing seasons 1 animation look higher quality compared to the later seasons. The meme of Invincible being a Microsoft PNG slideshow have only risen and gotten worse when X-Men 97 returned. I didn't Do you feel I mean, I don't know if you watch Invincible like that, but do you feel like the art has suffered in regards to each season as it's progressed? And do you think it has anything to do with like just budget of where they're putting the money compared to, instead of utilizing it for the art style with bringing in, celebrity voice actors? Do you find it as a problem?
um, I mean, I'm still entertained by it. Like, yes, could the animation be better? Yes, but does it like take away from the show? For me personally, it does not. I get that some people really need their crisp animation, and I think especially it sucks because nowadays there's so many like other projects out there, especially when it comes to anime. Where like animation quality has just like skyrocketed. So it feels like there's kind of this bigger standard for what a lot of people will expect now for animation, especially for an action show like Invincible. But yeah, like it is hard to say for sure. I think like if it were up to me, I would say just give the show the bigger animation budget specifically and just keep the budget for the voice actors as it is. I still don't know exactly how it works in terms of the way they distribute the budget, but I do know that, yeah, what you brought up about the amount of animators working on an episode, someone did this comparison. It's like you usually have that amount of animators working on an episode of SpongeBob, which, keep in mind, SpongeBob episodes are 15 minutes long. And so when you have 4 animators working on a 15-minute cartoon, that's not so bad compared to Invincible, where when you have 4 animators working on a full-length episode, that's where it becomes a bigger problem. So, yeah, I do think that if I were a showrunner personally, yes, I would definitely prioritize animation over celebrities. Plus, not to mention, I just think it's better to hire actual voice actors than celebrities in general, because I think they tend to do a much better job. I do think that Invincible does a great job with what they cast or who they cast like in the show, but I would have preferred voice actors, more than just, regular actors, because they are two very different skills. And while they do a good job in Invincible, and I mean, there are some that are straight up voice actors, like J.K. Simmons. He may be a Hollywood actor, but he's also a voice actor too. So there are definitely some exceptions there. But, I think that, like, for example, Seth Rogen, we could have casted a voice actor to play his character, and then a few others from the show. Didn't need to have like big movie celebrities to play them. But so yeah, like I kind of agree, but I will still say that for me, the bad animation has not stopped me from watching it. I still really enjoy Invincible, but I do agree that if I had to choose between the two, I would have preferred them putting the money into the animation instead of the voice actors.
Let's see here. What else do we have? Marcy also says this controversy happened a few months ago about when Sinners was winning at the Oscars. There was a controversy surrounding Ryan Coogler. The scene where spirits from the past and future were at the party, the controversy surrounding the fact that Ryan Coogler did not incorporate a gay kiss scene. This has led to two different sides. Many feel this controversy is only manufactured and is only done to discredit Ryan Coogler, while the other side does come from people who genuinely feel and aren't doing it to discredit Ryan Coogler. And now people are demanding to know Ryan Coogler's personal stance on the LGBTQ plus community and want to know whether or not he's homophobic. Some say that Ryan Coogler shouldn't be obligated to showcase every sub-Black culture in existence, but the other side says it's counterintuitive when the scene of showing the past and future of Black culture showcase all types of subcultures that Ryan Coogler isn't a part of himself. My friend Grack feels that while she understands where people are coming from and think that the other filmmakers are more deserving of the same type of criticism, she ultimately states that it's not the story Ryan Coogler wanted to tell, and she feels that it only reinforces homophobia in the Black community and just pits marginalized communities against each other. Jew Almighty actually made a great video on the topic that I think you should watch. I'll certainly check it out. Hold on one second. I'm trying to look something up real quick here because I needed to do some more research. Because I was like reading this question. It says, the scene where the spirits from the past and future were at the party, the controversy surrounding the fact that Ryan Coogler did not incorporate a gay kiss scene. I was like, I had to look up, was there a gay scene even filmed? Was there a gay scene in Sinners at any point in time? And I'm not finding that to be the case. So I can understand if there was controversy in the idea of like, a gay kiss scene was filmed but ultimately cut from the movie, whereas in reality there was never supposed to be a gay kiss scene. So I guess my question would be, why are we forcing somebody to have to include something that they don't necessarily want to include in there? Like when I watch that spirit scene, I'm thinking of music, and I'm thinking of the impact of music from a cultural standpoint. I'm not looking at that scene in the sense of different cultures and how they express their sexuality. When I look at that sequence, yes, while it definitely takes from different cultures of Black community over time periods, the focus isn't on sexuality. The focus is on its impact musically, its impact through the generations and how it's all connected in regards to the grander scheme of things, in regards to bringing this kind of community together. So no, I don't find it's Ryan Coogler's job to have to force something like that into his movie when that's not the premise of what the scene is to begin with. I mean, if people want to know what his stance is on LBG communities, just ask the dude. But to create some sort of make-believe controversy surrounding a scene that wasn't even filmed, now you're just forcing somebody, we need you to put this gay scene in this. Why? Like, that's just odd to me. Like, especially if it has nothing to do with what the story or the plot of it is. Shouldn't, if anything, I think that's would take away from the story that he's certainly trying to tell, and forcing something like that. He says, well, much such as hip hop and disco is important to gay culture is one thing I hear. I mean, that's great and all. I'm sure it's important to many cultures also. I'm sure because of Eminem, it's important to white culture now also, but you don't see a white person in that scene, do you? Right? Like, it's just the idea of following the layers of music through this culture over time. It's not focusing so much on the sexuality of people. Yeah, gay people like hip hop, that's cool, but like, that's not the focus of what the movie is. The movie is focusing on the music and its impact on the culture, and how it, in regards to bringing together all through the different time eras. So, forcing somebody to put in a gay kiss scene or a gay scene in a movie in which that's not even the plot and the focus of it, I think just does a detriment to what that movie actually talks about. And I don't think there should be any controversy here in regards to Ryan Coogler. I kind of find it ridiculous, if I'm being honest with you, Stuart.
Yeah, I think hearing that, and again, like maybe I'll check out the video later to get more context, but like kind of hearing the points being brought up, it's like, yes, I think it would have been cool if it was included, but it not being included, it's not something I'm going to knock points off for. I think it just feels very random to like suddenly say, hey, this would have been, like, which I do agree, it would have probably been cooler to have like at least like something subtle like that in the background. It would have been like, okay, that adds to it to show how diverse, of a cultural impact music can have on people. But at the same time, I don't really want to knock it for not including that, because again, like what it gave us was still one of the most incredible scenes that I've seen like in recent years. It's still probably my favorite scene in the entire movie. So I'm not going to knock it just because like there's one small thing that they could have done to make it even better. Yeah, I think it was totally just fine on its own. And yeah, honestly, I really don't want to accuse, right? Because this is a very, very thin line that we're crossing
Super
here.
thin.
If we start saying that because like a director doesn't include a gay kiss in like their movie, suddenly they're homophobic.
He's got to be homophobic. That's crazy.
You're starting to feed into the right-wing grifters, give them exactly what they want. Basically, all the overly paranoid assholes out there that try to say, this is what the future of Hollywood is going to look like. Every movie is going to have a gay kiss and all that kind of stuff. You're kind of feeding into validating them if this is like something that you take major issue in. And again, I want to be clear. My stance is if he had included it, that would have been really awesome. But I'm not going to knock points off the movie because he didn't. That's again, it's a thin line. It's a thin line we're walking here, guys. We
questioning.
How about we focus that on like actual homophobic directors out there? How about we focus it on people working on movies for the Daily Wire? The ones who actually go out of their way to make movies that are anti-LGBTQ plus. Like that's where you should focus that energy, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We got Kiki and Luca here. Love live viewer questions. Appreciate it, Kiki and Luca. Just to go back to the, Nathan says, so it was his vision. It wasn't something taken out. Like I think if it was something that he filmed and he put in the movie, but then by the final cut, it was kind of taken out, then I could say, okay, well, maybe people have an argument here. But the fact that there's nothing of the sort, even in the script for that to have happened. Just because people aren't represented in every single movie doesn't necessarily mean that particular director is homophobic. And I think that's just a really big, dangerous leap to take. And at that point in time, it's just like, we're just going to be picking on anybody, it's just, I think we're just doing a disservice here.
So, what do you mean, Nathan Moore? You hate to defend Ryan Coogler?
Maybe he's not a fan. Maybe he's not a fan of Ryan Coogler's work for the most part.
Okay.
Maybe he's not a fan of what Ryan Coogler puts out. But Peg C says, released on November 4th, 1994, the live-action Double Dragon film star Mark Cascos as Jimmy Lee and Scott Wolf as Billy Lee, alongside Alyssa Milano as Marion and Robert Patrick as the villain Shuko. Set in a flooded post-earthquake New Angeles, the movie focused on two brothers protecting a mythical two-part medallion. Do you think it'd be successful now that they remade, if they remade a Double Dragon into a movie?
If it was good, I don't think name brand would be enough for it though, because I don't think anyone, except for 80s adults, I don't think anyone really remembers Double Dragon that well. My thing is, so I used to watch, I freaking love the Angry Video Game Nerd a lot. I love especially his old content. So whenever I think of Double Dragon, I always think of the funniest misspelling in Double Dragon 3, where instead of Billy and Jimmy, they for some reason spell his name as Bimmy and Jimmy. But yeah, no, I don't think Double Dragon, it could do successful, but it would have to be a good movie. The name brand wouldn't sell it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the name brand would sell it. Warner Brothers Discovery officially confirmed its 2026 shareholder letter that Jim Carrey will lead a live action adaptation to the Jetsons, where he is expected to star as the iconic George Jetson. Colin Trevorrow has been in talks to direct and co-write the project. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I think we touched upon this one time on Hero Report sometime last year that Jim Carrey was in talks to do the Jetsons film. So the fact that they confirmed it over the shareholder letter for their second quarter just goes back to that story that we had talked about. I like the casting personally. I think he's one of the bright spots to the Sonic franchise, and I do think that Jim Carrey's name still carries some level of weight and recognition. The Jetsons is such an old IP though, so I am kind of curious as to, does that IP and the name itself carry any weight going forward? But I think having somebody like a Jim Carrey would certainly work here. And even though he's older than what I expect of a George Jetson, I don't expect him to have a young boy Elroy anymore. Like I could see this being like an older version of the Jetsons. Like the kids are grown up now. George is maybe a little bit older. I think if they kind of take that route instead of like a pure like adaptation straight from the animated series, but growing them up a little bit in like a sequel, like a Jetsons sequel, quasi sequel, if you will, from the series itself into a live action movie, then we probably got something here. But I think the IP will be interesting to kind of see how it carries weight. But I think Jim Carrey's name alone will definitely draw eyes to this project. But I like it though.
Okay, real quick, we got super chat, but before we do that, I really hope to direct this movie. They get Brian Levitt, who directed the Flintstones live action movie, which to me is
from back in the day. Oh yeah,
that is one of the most underrated films out there. I fucking love that movie. But we got a super chat from Marcelino for $10.
What's up, Marcelino? Damn, with the super chat. He must really want us to focus on this question. We appreciate your support, Marcelino, every single week, man. We thank you so much. We really appreciate having you on the show all the time. To play devil advocate, how come it's fair to defend Ryan Coogler, but not the people who made Mercy? That's the story they wanted to tell. Many say those are apples to apples. I've never watched Mercy, if I'm being honest with you, so I don't know if I can really speak to what.
The Chris
Mercy is that Chris Pratt was like Minority Report almost.
Yeah,
he's being charged for the murder of his wife or something like that.
Yeah, no, wait. What's the comparison there? I'm talking about when I talk shit about Mercy, I'm talking about how the director, or writer, or whichever, the movie itself actively seemed to be pro-fascism, where by giving us like a fascist kind of dystopian future, but portraying it like this is a good thing at the very end, trying to be like, oh yeah, sorry, there might have been some hiccups here and there, but overall this can work. This system can be a good thing. Whereas, yeah, like again, not having a gay kiss in a scene in Sinners doesn't make someone
imply like, hey, it's not like, hey, being gay is a bad thing. It's not what the movie is saying.
It's not at all. No, if Sinners had a homophobic message, then yes, I would 100% call Ryan Coogler homophobic. But not having a gay kiss doesn't make someone homophobic. A movie that is pro-fascism, having a positive message about fascism at the very end of it, that is what I would call pro-fascism, Yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't answer. I'm sorry if I was confused by the way like the question is phrased, but that's kind of like, I don't see that as apples to apples. I see that as apples and grenades, I guess. Like two completely different things that just happen to be shaped like a sphere. But you can't really compare them.
Yeah, I haven't really seen Mercy, so I don't really know. Well, I mean, he says, what I'm saying is that the people behind Mercy should be praised for the story they wanted to tell. I mean, the
story itself wasn't good, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess, when I think of Sinners, yes, it was a story that Ryan Coogler wanted to tell. But I think the way that the live viewer question was proposed was that because he didn't implement a particular scene, then people should get on his case for something that he didn't necessarily even intentionally and write into it. Like his intentions of writing the story of Sinners wasn't to promote pro homophobia within the Black community. It was like, it's almost like people missed the entirety of the Sinner's message and wanted to put their own message into the story that wasn't even Ryan Coogler's message to begin with. Almost like just forcing him to have to include an aspect of the story that he's not trying to tell. Like, this is other people's story that they wanted him to tell, but that's not where Ryan Coogler was going with that particular story. Like, there's nothing pro-homophobic about Sinners, like, at all in any of the messaging whatsoever. So this made-up scenario just literally does not exist. Whereas Mercy, on the other hand, I guess according to Stewart, is the idea that, yes, while it is a pro-fascist message, that's the message that he's pushing across. Whereas Ryan Coogler's message has nothing to do with homophobia whatsoever. He says, I mean, in the sense that Mercy's was pro-fascist message, that doesn't mean it was bad. How it's conveyed determines if it's good or not. But still, I think these are two separate things. Like, Ryan Coogler is not doing anything homophobic in Sinners. Like, that's not even part of his message. He's just telling a movie that he wants to tell. So I don't know, Stuart. Maybe you have a better handle on that.
Yeah. So to me, overall, it's just, I think that Sinners was an incredible movie, and I'm not going to knock it for not having a gay kiss. Mercy was not even that good of a movie on its own, even if I were to ignore like kind of the fascist undertones and the fact that, the overall idea is, hey, guilty until proven innocent actually could work. That overall message isn't the only reason I dislike the movie. It's just the cherry on top of why I dislike Mercy. I also just think as a movie itself, it's not as clever as it pretends to be. The twists and turns are incredibly obvious. In fact, I think the only reason I didn't see it coming is because of how obvious it was. I was like, well, if they really want to surprise this, they'll go to this direction. Oh, nope, they're going the direction that they hinted at in the very beginning. Of course they are.
Pexy also says, if Thanos and Apocalypse collide at their absolute peak power, no Infinity Gauntlet, just raw might and cosmic tech, who leaves the battlefield standing? I gotta go with Apocalypse here. I don't know if that's crazy to say or not. We're talking about absolute peak. No Infinity Gauntlet, though. I'm going to go Apocalypse, and I only think because of powered by the Celestials and stuff. I think Apocalypse. Immortal, never ending. I got to go with Apocalypse here. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm going to agree with that. Apocalypse.
Jessica Fryman, you think we could get another Simpsons Futurama crossover someday? And Stuart, this question is for you. Have you seen the 3rd season of My Adventures with Superman, and what are your thoughts on it? And do you think a 4th season is going to happen?
In terms of the Futurama Simpsons crossover, it's possible. I'm not going to hold my breath, though, but I think that because both shows are still currently airing and both shows are under the Disney banner, it is 100% possible at the very least. As for the second part with My Adventures of Superman, and the King of the Hill revival. I've been watching season 3. I haven't been keeping up to date week after week with it, but I've been watching playing catch up like every couple weeks or so. Really enjoying it so far. Jonathan Kent storyline, I thought they were going in a completely different direction. I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't go in the direction that I was kind of predicting. Because for context, we get Jonathan Kent in this. He's from the future, and he has like this, he comes from this post-apocalyptic future that he has to try and prevent, but things start to play out differently in the past, which led me to thinking that this wasn't Jonathan Kent from the future. This was Connor Kent from the present with fake memories, which would have been such a cool twist, but they didn't go that direction, which kind of disappointed me. Still good, though. Still good with what we've gotten so far. I'm enjoying it. And then as for the King of the Hill revival, I have a small rant. I'm so sorry. I will get this done as soon as possible, but I love it. It was almost perfect. The one thing that I absolutely hated about the King of the Hill revival, and I mean I actually hated this, was the quote-unquote tribute they gave to Toby Huss was absolutely Jonathan. What is his name? Jonathan Joss, I believe, the voice actor for John Redcorn. Like, that was borderline disrespectful what they did, I think, because not only did they kind of retcon the idea that that Nancy and Jonathan Redcorn had stopped hooking up like since the original series, like they kind of implied in the reboot that they were working together, but as professionals, not as a couple. They not only retconned that at the very end of the episode in order to give Nancy this moment she really didn't need, because she already had that really awesome moment of being a loyal wife to Dale like earlier in the show. They didn't need to add the cherry on top of her no longer sleeping with Jonathan Redcorn, because that was something I assumed they already weren't doing. They then have him driving off, and the very last we see of Jonathan Redcorn, whose voice actor, by the way, didn't just pass away, was fucking murdered, is we see him doing the super cliche like single tear Native American, who, by the way, wasn't even everyone who knows that litter ad, the famous litter ad of the Native American with the single tear, that wasn't even a Native American. The guy playing him was fucking Italian. So it's like you use that as a way to give a tribute to Jonathan Joss at the very end of his life. Go fuck yourselves, whoever made that decision in the King of the Hill revival. Apart from that, though, this is one of the best revivals ever. I know I just went on a huge rant on how much that one like 10-second scene pisses me off so much, and it really pisses me off. But apart from that 10 seconds, this is one of the greatest revivals I've ever seen for any show ever. I highly recommend the King of the Hill revival series if you guys have not seen it. And with Beavis and Butthead currently going on at the same time as King of the Hill, I know your question was about Simpsons and Futurama. I really want to see a King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead crossover. I really want this so badly.
Yeah, Keegan says Adam will have to move appointment. No, I'm getting out of here regardless if we finish these questions or not.
I'm so sorry.
My friends call me Joseph. Live action Spider-Man film showcase distinct web shooting mechanics ranging from Tobey Maguire's organic abilities and Andrew Garfield's homemade web fluid to Tom Holland's advanced Stark engineered tech. Many fans initially criticized Holland's MCU iteration for relying too heavily on Tony Stark, earning him the Iron Man Jr. moniker. However, the emotional conclusion of No Way Home stripped away these Stark resources, forcing Peter to embrace a grounded, independent, fresh start. This pivotal shift finally severed his protege status and returned him to classic roots. Do you think this total independence makes his upcoming journey more exciting to watch?
100%.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I'm really eager to see where he goes. Yusef, two-part question. When it comes to Black Panther 3, with the recent announcements of David Johnson becoming the new Black Panther, how do you think the film will show Shuri passing the mantle to her nephew without taking away from the moment she became the Black Panther during Wakanda Forever? How long of a time jump do you think it's been for T'Challa's son to have grown up and ultimately become the new Black Panther? That's a good question. I am kind of curious as to like how far in the future after Secret Wars this time jump is going to be. I mean, for the most part, they've been pretty on point with our years, although I do think Spider-Man Brand New Day might take place in 2028, if I'm not mistaken. So I am kind of curious as to like how far in advance this time jump is going to be, and if there's any like if Secret Wars ages up anybody for some particular reason. So I don't know. I don't even know how old that kid was in but I would got to think at least another like a 10 years, maybe 10, 15 year time jump. But that feels really, really big. But I don't think Shuri passing down the mantle is gonna take away from her becoming Black Panther. If anything, I think based off of the death of her brother, the death of her mom, I think all those were really impactful and taught her a bunch of life lessons. So as long as she survives through something like Doomsday and Secret Wars and is actually able to pass down the mantle to David Johnson, I would expect that she's got a lot of life lessons and advice for him in regards to, him understanding who his father was, his line, and from where he comes from, and whatever the case may be. So I don't think it's going to take away from it. If anything, I think it's just going to add to the passing of the torch.
Mhm. I think if anything, it makes her stronger because she knows when to let go of power, which not a
Yes.
lot of people with power know how to do, unfortunately.
Yeah. It may not seem like a good idea to some people, but what if Sherry and her nephew both honored T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman in general as dual Black Panthers, with Shuri continuing that mantle in a different route or capacity, while David Johnson's character is entirely dedicated to T'Challa and Wakanda itself? No, I think it should just be one Black Panther at a time. If I had my way, at least I don't necessarily think it would be a good idea to have dual Black Panthers. I kind of like the idea of just being one sole mantle at a time. That's just me though.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it one way or the other, honestly.
Jake Villanueva, word on the street is that Marvel Studios is formally integrating mutants into their main cinematic continuity, laying the groundwork for a brand new generation of characters led by upcoming solo projects and ensemble pieces. Ahead of this fresh reboot, Avengers Doomsday will bridge universes by featuring major legacy cast members, beloved veterans like Patrick Stewart as Professor X and Ian McKellen's Magneto, and James Marsden's Cyclops are officially slated to return for the multiversal clash. Which legacy X-Men actor are you most excited to see return on the big screen? Do you think that film will also include a reference or Easter egg to Deadpool and Wolverine, acknowledging that multiversal variants and event, that multiversal variant and event?
For me, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are definitely the two actors I'm most looking forward to seeing come back, especially with how they ended things in the X-Men Days of Future Past. Finally, after like so many years, seeing their kind of friendship kind of start to have a hint of returning. And then who knows, for the LGBTQ fans out there, maybe a little bit more than just friendship. I'm just saying, man. I got some lovey-dovey eyes from that scene from Days of Future Past with the two of them at the end. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but like so that being said though, as for Deadpool and Wolverine, I hope it somewhat gets acknowledged because now we haven't hit the Logan timeline yet. We're still like in the past before we get to the Logan timeline. So that means there's two Wolverines in that like current X-Men timeline, along with Weapon X, who hasn't even been born yet, but is also currently in that timeline. So I hope that gets referenced. I assume because the TVA and Loki is involved, it's got to be referenced at least in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I gotta think it's gotta be referenced. As far as the legacy character that I'm looking forward to most, believe it or not, it's probably Nightcrawler. Just because I haven't seen Nightcrawler in such a long time, and having, I think it's Alan Cunningham returning that role sounds crazy to me after all these years. So I'm kind of curious to see what they do with Nightcrawler, at least from like an action standpoint. So yeah, give me Nightcrawler. Zachary, it may not happen or even matter, but in the beginning of the end credits of Doomsday, it would be nice if there was a small dedication or loving memory to Julian McMahon, who played Doctor Doom in 2005 and 2007's Fantastic Four. While we're here, I'm still very confused what the difference between Doomsday and Secret Wars. I'm not gonna lie, it would be cool if they did it in loving memory of Julian McMahon. I don't think that they're going to, but it would be pretty dope. Just for them to,
didn't know he passed away.
Yeah, just to have him acknowledge that, it would be really awesome. But I don't think they're going to go that route. Maybe in something like the next Fantastic Four movie, maybe they do something like that, but we'll see. As far as the difference between Doomsday and Secret Wars, so Secret Wars is very much like when Doctor Doom's plan actually works. Like it's like the idea of like the culmination of his actions in Doomsday paying off for him and giving him sort of like this battle world scenario in Secret Wars, where when you get to something like Secret Wars, it's very much like set in, well, at least in the comic books from Jonathan Hickman's run, it was very much more like medieval era type of aesthetics, if you will, but a world that's very much split up into factions and organizations, like people having control, like barons, if you will, having control of different parts of the world. And so each section of the world is closed off and walled off from one another, but they all have, everybody has a share in power type of thing. So think of more like King Arthur and Merlin type of atmosphere aesthetics wise from within Battle World, where I think Doomsday is dealing with more or less the incursions and the multiverse kind of coming together and shrinking and colliding. And I believe it's from the Times Up storyline from Jonathan Hickman, his New Avengers and Avengers run that kind of focused on this in the sense of like heroes from different worlds and multiverses as these worlds are colliding. It's really like the survival of the fittest. Like you have to literally fight the opposing world or multiverse that you're about to kind of collide in. And if you survive, then the other world is destroyed, sort of thing. And it really kind of builds into this ultimate sort of incursion and like multiversal ending to really form this new battle world that we'll kind of see in Secret Wars a little bit. So from the comics, that would be my explanation as to like what the differences are between Doomsday in regards to Doctor Doom's plot coming together, and then the payoff to that plot being Secret Wars. I don't know if that explains it well or not, Stuart, or if you want to add anything else.
I mean, yeah, I think the only Secret Wars that I read was like the OG, which was, I'm pretty sure safe to say, is not going to be the version that they're going to be adapting. So yeah, I think the way you described it is probably how it's going to play off. Like Doomsday is going to be kind of like Infinity War. Doomsday is going to win at the end, and then Secret Wars is going to be that aftermath of them having to reverse everything so everything goes back to normal.
Yeah, I like the way you said that. Blossom, what Marvel character would you like to have their own movie? I'm talking about those that haven't had one already. Oh Lord.
Let me think. Here's an idea. We've seen a statue of them, but we still haven't gotten a Beta Ray Bill movie.
Ooh, yeah. I love that one, dude. I love that one. Nova is on the way. I would definitely love to see Nova get his own movie. You know, in a weird way, I actually wouldn't mind something like a New Warriors. It'd be definitely a deep cut, but I wouldn't mind an oddball, like another team up film, something like New Warriors. I think would be pretty fun. Would it be cool if there were Power Rangers that are magic users? Like fairies, witches. I ain't talking Mystic Force or Changeman, aka Power Ranger Mythic, as I call them. You know, mythical beings that are magic users. Their morphers could be enchanted crystal balls or something. That's just me. I do love enchanted crystal ball. Sounds dope to me. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I could definitely see that working. Something where it's like, instead of teenagers that have to learn to believe in magic, you get like a group of characters that actually know about magic from the beginning and can actually use it. That has potential.
Oh yeah, like even like, and I love the idea of like magic users, like she mentions, like fairies, witches. I know trolls aren't necessarily magic users. At least I don't think that they are, but I wouldn't mind like a troll on the team would be pretty cool. Like any type of mythological beings that are magic users. Yeah, I would kind of dig that idea. I'm not gonna lie, Blossom. Marco Parco, if James Gunn and Warner Brothers were to eventually bring Zack Snyder on board as a co-collaborator for future DC projects while Gunn contract is active, how would you view that dynamic? And also, even if it's a long shot, if Gunn's DC universe eventually embraces the multiversal concept, would you want to see Henry Cavill make a cameo appearance as Superman? No. I don't want to see that.
Really? You wouldn't want to see it like, I mean, I wouldn't want it like anytime soon. I want it like years down the line, but eventually I wouldn't mind seeing him come back in a multiverse movie.
Maybe, yeah. You know what? Actually wouldn't mind it. I mean, if we did something like a massive Crisis of Infinite Earth kind of movie that they really are building up towards, you know, why not? It worked really well for CW in regards to bringing back like Brandon Routh. Bring Brandon Routh back too while you're at it. You know, if that's the case. I mean, yeah. So you know what? Actually, I would actually be open to that. As far as like, if they ever were to bring Zack Snyder back on board to co-collaborate, how would you view that dynamic? Ooh, I don't. If I'm Gunn, I'm not doing it, man. If I'm Gunn, I'm not doing it, because I think you're just opening up a can of worms, if I'm being honest. I mean, it would be cool, like, if he came on board to do another movie that's separate from Batman or Wonder Woman or Superman. Like, if Zack Snyder just came on board as a director and writer for like a movie within the DCU, I'm not gonna lie, Stuart. There's actually a part of me that would be really fascinating to see how that would be pulled off. But I just think it would be opening up a can of worms, dude. I really do.
Yeah. I personally wouldn't want him. I mean, unless there was a project that worked for him specifically. But for me, I've noticed that like my favorite Zack Snyder films are the ones where he directly adapts from a graphic novel.
Yeah.
So like Watchmen and 300, I would want him to do something in that line, but probably with The Dark Knight Returns would be something that I think would be right up his alley, because it's like, yeah, just literally go frame for frame, copy the comic book. That's your strength. Do that. I think that if he wasn't trying to tell an original story that merged plot lines that just don't go together, like what he did with Dark Knight Returns and Death of Superman. I think like trying to mix those just did not make for a good movie. But if he's just focusing on The Dark Knight Returns, I think there's potential there.
All right, this is our 8-minute countdown here, so let's try and get through these questions.
Gotcha.
Marcus Shriver, the 11th and final core entry in the Fast of the franchise, Fast Forever, is currently targeted for theatrical release March 17, 2028. Talking to social media, Vin Diesel hyped up the project by revealing he read Michael Leslie's screenplay and called it the best script I've read in decades. Given a franchise long track record of outrageous action and physics-defining stunts, should fans take his glowing endorsement at face value or maintain a healthy dose of skepticism?
I mean, face value, if you like the other Fast and Furious movies and Vin Diesel seems really excited about this, I would say go in with that expectation that it's going to be as good as any of the other ones, because I feel like that's what he says every time a new Fast and Furious movie comes out. Like, I don't remember which one, but one of them, the last couple of ones, he genuinely thought was Oscar worthy.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I mean, I guess maintain a healthy dose of skepticism. I mean, I do like what he's saying here. I thought I heard him say that it made him cry. But, there's a part of me that wants to believe it just because it's the final one. And so there's a part of me that thinks that maybe we are going back to its roots, and maybe that's what appeals to Vin Diesel. But I'm still going to be like, wait and see. Because, yeah, like you said, if he's just saying that about every script that he gets when it comes to Fast and the Furious, it's just like, yeah, final result says otherwise. But we'll see. We'll see. Alex, did you know that the iconic casting choice for the Terminator almost look completely different? Arnold Schwarzenegger originally aimed to play the hero Kyle Reese, but director James Cameron recognized that his presence was far better suited for the villain. Meanwhile, the studio executive pushed for O.J. Simpson to play the cyborg, but Cameron rejected the idea because he felt audiences wouldn't accept Simpson as a cold-blooded killing machine. No!
The irony.
No.
The stars aligned for this one for James Cameron on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He dodged a bullet for sure. That's crazy. I didn't know. I did not know that, but that's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh my God, neither did I.
Nathan, have you ever heard that pop artist Justin Timberlake launched 10 Min Records in 2007 and signed Dutch YouTuber star Esme Denters as his flagship artist? Rather than walking away from artistic integrity, she actually dropped by the label in 2012 after her debut album failed to gain traction in the US. Isn't wild how quickly major labels will abandon talent when immediate commercial success falls short?
Definitely, like record companies and labels, they do not give a shit about the people that they recognize. I'm sure people who actually work in the music industry, I'm sure Indy Uchiha would be able to tell me how incorrect I completely am, but I genuinely do not understand why artists need them to begin with when we have things like Spotify, when we have YouTube, when we have all these other ways that like artists can get recognized now. Like, why do you need to rely on record companies who are inevitably going to just fuck you over in the long run?
Yeah.
Damn, I wish Indy was here actually, because then he could probably answer my question.
Because I mean, I do think there's like, powers that be above and beyond in regards to how far reaching your stuff can actually get, like even if you are a small independent artist, I'm sure that's probably the way that most people would probably go. But I think as far as like who gains popularity and who doesn't, while people might have fan bases, they kind of take that next level. There's a part of me that still thinks that they have such a monopoly in hand in regards to what gets pushed and what doesn't, that even if you do come up from your own own success and your own fan base, like there's still a glass ceiling or like a wall that you could potentially hit from becoming bigger because of the powers that be above you. You know what I mean? But again, I don't know how the movie industry works right now. I mean, I'm also a conspiracy theorist in the sense of like I think the music industry knows exactly what it's doing in regards to, you know, the artistry that the artists that they put forward in regards to the messages that they want to get across to certain youths and stuff. Because I remember growing up, hip hop and R&B and things like that just always had some, I don't want to say always had some type of message, but in regards to like being able to really strengthen the community and society and give them things to really like think about and, you know, build themselves up towards, sort of thing. I think the message in music has vastly changed over the years, and that now we have music industries that are you know, eliminating radio stations, you know, Spotify and digital media and things like that have really changed what music you hear on a continued basis. And I think just the idea of pushing a certain type of music over the past few decades, if you will, I think is definitely, I don't want to say part of a plan or whatever the case may be, but I do think they're very much molding what it is that we listen to on a daily basis these days. And so that's how I feel about it. So I have a feeling there's a bigger people at play here in regards to who gets famous and who gets that message that they want to be out in public. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And I feel like the Michael Jackson movie even kind of played on that a little when it came to MTV. It's like, yeah, we don't really want to promote civil rights at the moment, and so you have to have those really big artists out there where it's like they can't say no to them. Where it's like, okay, fine, we'll make this one exception in order for that actual difference to spark, basically.
Yeah, and I think they definitely have utilized digital media and things like streaming services and whatever the case may be to help shape the narrative of what type of music people get the opportunity to really listen to, or what really goes out to the masses more, you know. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, guys, that will do it for all of our live viewer questions today. Thank you to everybody that certainly submitted something in to us today. We definitely appreciate it. I'm probably going to go ahead and kind of cut this short. But first and foremost, if you're in the live chat and you've joined us for the entirety of today's show, thank you guys so much, especially if you've come and gone, whatever the case may be. We really appreciate it. We'll also give you an update in the next couple of weeks here. The time for Hero Report might certainly change because the football season's about to start here sometime in September. So we may be going on an hour earlier for the football season. I'm sorry, Stuart. I know that means you can get up a little bit earlier, but I appreciate everybody certainly joining us here for today's show. Stuart, if people want to find you on social media, man, where can they find you, sir?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 over on Instagram and on Letterboxd.
And if you want to follow us, we do have a TikTok, as you can see down below, at Hero Report. Check us out over there also. If you haven't subscribed to us on our main YouTube channel, please go ahead and click that subscribe button along with the bell notification. So when we drop brand new information, you'll be notified. If you want to follow us on social media at A+ Opinions, I would say check us out on our Facebook page. It's a great aggregator of daily news that winds up dropping throughout the day. We keep you up to date all throughout the day. Big breaking news, big casting announcements, big behind the scenes stuff, trailers, posters, exclusive images, whatever drops throughout the day. We definitely keep you guys up to date. But we certainly will be seeing you tomorrow for our Monday movie matinee episode. And then later on the week, we'll be talking about The Ninth Jedi during our Force Report episode. So certainly check us back out. And then join us on Friday evening for our D23 live reaction as we talk about the Disney Entertainment Showcase, from Marvel Studios to Disney and Pixar to Star Wars. We'll definitely be talking about it Friday evening. So other than that, guys, that will do it for us here. We'll certainly see you next week. Until then, do us a big favor. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.